energy drinks.
Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown's team, Team Shaq, the winners at last night's NBA All-Star Game in the new 4-team mini-tournament format. Tatum had 15 points in 11 minutes in the championship game. Steph Curry named the event's MVP. Celtics return from the break on Thursday night in Philly. The NHL's Four Nations Face-Off moves to TD Garden for a pair of games today. U.S. already qualified for the Thursday championship game. They'll play Sweden tonight at 8 p.m., Canada and Finland at 1 o'clock. If either team wins that game in regulation, they too will move on to the final. New Red Sox signee Alex Bregman officially introduced at spring training yesterday. Bregman said Dustin Pedroia, a big part of recruiting him to sign in Boston. William Byron wins the rain-delayed Daytona 500, and Ludwig Oberg, the winner at the PGA Tour's Genesis Invitational at Torrey Pines. Headlines are brought to you by Valvoline. Enjoy quick and convenient vehicle maintenance this month. Visit NewEnglandOilChange.com. Get 15% off your drive-through oil change at Valvoline Instant Oil Change, the official oil change of busy people. I'm Ryan Johnston on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. We got more headlines in 30 minutes.
Boston plays here.
Pressure, half court, it's in the air. He got it! He did it again!
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Ladies and gentlemen, I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Toucher
Brett Toucher on Instagram. Follow and see dog humping videos.
and Hardy
I'm going to withhold sex.
on 98.5.
Hello.
Hey there.
Yo. Can we use this for the radio? What? Let me hear you say, oh. Na 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 na.
Crush me, mommy.
Just not enough booty to go around? Say my name. I'm a robot.
I'm the son of the post. I'll chase you around a little bit.
Wow.
Holy smokes!
Instagram.
I want to dip it in, boy.
Toucher and Hardy
Watch Daddy and Uncle Freddie.
Knocking back some fun. Having some fun.
on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Let's go.
Figure it out. With the home-style Spanish cooking, if I eat, I'll be puking. But he was good in just one of the guys. So, not just one of the guys. He was good in the Can't Buy Me Love. He was actually good. So what are you going to do? He didn't seem like to have that ego on him.
Gerardo, right? Was the artist.
Yes.
Rico Suave.
He's from Ecuador.
Okay. Let's just say he's from Puerto Rico because he's called himself a Rico. All right? No one needs a fact checker. So Hardy's there. John decided to take President's Day off because it's 18 degrees outside and he's home, which is always good because
He'd have been scared driving in, too.
well, I'll tell you, if you don't work, here's the deal at the station. The one good thing about the station is that if you work holidays, they give you a comp day. So if you are going out of town this week, you obviously you like the day off because it's essentially a comp day because it doesn't count as part of your vacation. But if you're not going out of town and it's the summer, even then I understand, like, if you have something you want to do during the summer. This hellhole that we're living in right now, John not coming in, John has the worst instincts with his off time that I've ever seen anyone I've ever worked with. Ryan Johnston is here. It's very exciting. We're reunited with Ryan Johnston. I like that he doesn't feel he's too good to do the show now, that he's a big-time broadcaster. I'm being serious, too. And a lot of people would.
He said, hey, to me. He didn't forgot my name.
Yeah, well.
I will not forget my roots.
Oh, thank you. That's very nice of you. But no, but I am serious. A lot of people would be like, "Oh, I'm not doing that show. Like it's dirty or whatever else." And so, but John takes this stupid time off. So he'll save all his vacation until, and John's got plenty of money. His wife is a CPA. But John's got money, right? He's not rich, but he's got plenty of money. So it's not a financial concern. So John will save all his vacation, and then at Christmas time, he'll take 2 weeks off. So you think, oh, that's nice. He'll take 2 weeks off. But until this year, until last Christmas, he would stay home for a week of that at Christmas time, and then he would go to his in-laws' house.
Like in Philly, right?
Yeah, he would drive down to Philadelphia, often by himself, because he had to do those dumb Bryant games. So he would stay home to do Bryant games, and then he would then decide that he was going to go drive down to Philadelphia. So half the time 1 week was spent at home in the cold, doing nothing, and then the other half was spent at his in-laws' house. And would he be excited? Ryan, you might have even been here for it. Like when John would stand up and gaze out the window and start adjusting his balls, like that was his big thing. Is he does? Unfortunately, I made fun of him about it too much, and now he doesn't do it anymore. But he used to stand by the window and he would just be like gazing out, and I'd be like, "Why?" This is off air. Why are you gazing out of the window? Oh, vacation starts soon. You're driving to Philadelphia to go to your in-laws' house. That's worse than working. So you have to get up. So you get up, you go home, you take a nap. You're not with your in-laws. But he likes his in-laws, I guess. I always question that a little bit, but yes.
Who doesn't like their in-laws? Oh.
Are you... Look, one of the great things in my life is not having to see my in-laws anymore. And even my ex-wife is like, dude, you're lucky. She is. She's like, I understand. Like, I would never want to see him either. So,
Dad, can you tell us your wedding story again?
You don't get to see the clowns either.
No, but I did. You don't know this. My ex-wife for my 50th birthday, which was last month, gave me a Yadro clown.
Was it stolen from the collection?
Her father had, when he moved to like a smaller place, so it's only like 5,000 square feet now. So he gave her a couple Yadro clowns, and Stephanie tried to sell them on eBay. And you know what? Shockingly, no one bought them. And so my kids gave me a heads up. They're like, Mom's going to give you like a Yadro clown. And it's my 50th birthday. And so she just gave me trash. And she goes, isn't that funny? And I'm like, yeah, it's a lot of fun. You didn't spend any money. You just gave me something you didn't want. You might as well have just given me trash. So my son wants to smash it. And I'm waiting until the weather gets better, and then I'll let him smash it. And so I can easily sweep it up or have him sweep it up.
Do it a Letterman thing. Drop it off the building.
If I had a high enough building, I would do it. I don't know.
I got ball, gaze out the window and then drop it out.
Yeah. Oh boy. Well, then I don't know if that's because my in-laws are Jewish. I don't know if Yadros are an inherently Jewish thing. I don't think they are. But if they were, John would have no problem doing it because it would be turning his back on his religion as he has so many times. So, John's not in today, which I like because we get Ryan. But I just think it's funny that I had this conversation with him off air on Friday. I was like, "You sure you're not coming in on Monday? Is this something you want to do?" Well, the kids are off. Okay, your kids are old. Like, let them.
I know.
Like, what do you need?
Are they want to hang out with you on their day off?
No, and even if they did, like, what are you going to do?
Well, he could have come to work, and by the time he got home, they'd be waking up because they don't have school today.
Exactly, but also it's it's President's Day. Like, what are you going to do? You could do something with your kids what are you going to do with them
To
today?
be fair, too, with the weather being what it was over the weekend, his wings are probably frozen. So I don't know that he would have made it in today if he had been on the schedule. So
well, he's pissed enough that he has to be up here for the spring. Yeah, I mean he's very lonely. So that my son is because my ex-wife took my daughter to Florida, but my son has school this week, including today. But he he gets sick. I don't understand what's going on with him. He is on Friday. I had to pick him up because he pinched a nerve in his neck, and oh boy, did I not want to pick him up. So he got on the bus. He said, I pinched a nerve in my neck. His mom was like, all right, just go to school. So it's like from Lexington, where he gets dropped off, to his school is like, with the other stops, like 45 minutes. So he calls me from the bus, and he's like, oh, my neck. So I go to the nurse. So he goes, all right. So he goes to the nurse. And at his school, since there's boarding school kids there, he doesn't obviously board there, but there's boarding school kids there. They have like a doctor's office, like with a doctor. They have a
whole building.
Like a doctor and nurses,
yes.
Which I figured they would, because there's kids that are their responsibility, like that are
living there.
Yeah, exactly, that are living there. So, and I ended up, he didn't know and I didn't know, but I figured that. And when I went in, it's like a regular doctor's office, like with he had his own room. Like there's this whole.
Oh yeah. Especially because they have international students at these schools now, so they
Yeah.
have to take care of them big time.
Absolutely. And I guess because of the flu, there's was a bunch of kids in there, and like some kids were really sick. But Milo had his own room, and he calls me, and I'm like, all right, when you get there, go to the nurse's office because I think they have doctors there. So what, what am I going to do? Like, go to a doctor, and if you're at a doctor, they're going to be able to handle you better than me. So I say that. 10 o'clock, I get a phone call. I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, my neck, I want to go home. And I'm like, and I go, let me talk to the nurse. He goes, why? Let me talk to the nurse, Milo. So he puts the nurse on, and the nurse is very nice, and she's like, I've given him Advil, and this is what he's done to his neck. I have a heating pad on it. Like, we've talked.
Oh, he's faking it. Get him out of here,
He's
please.
like, yeah, we've talked about him going to class, and I'm like, okay. And I go, do you think I need to pick him up? Because I knew I was on speakerphone. And she goes, I don't think so. Like, let's, I'm treating him. And I go, yeah, you're treating him. That's great. And she goes, but I don't know if he'll be able to go to class, but I'm treating him. So usually he'll take a bus home at 6 to Lexington, and then I just have to drive to Lexington to get him and take him home. So I go, all right, Milo, I'll call in like 2 hours.
No game?
He had a game on Friday, but he could. There's no way he could have played in that game. He did screw up his neck, but I don't know if he couldn't have gone to class. So then at like 12:30, I see that the phone is rung. I took a little bit of a nap, and I get up and I see the phone ring. Dad, pick me up. So I had to drive to Groton and pick him up, even though he was with a doctor. And they were doing, and I'm like, what do you want me to do with you? Like, how am I going to help you? Like, what do I have that they don't have? They're medical professionals. I'm not. So I said, fine. And I picked him up, and fine. So I do that. And then yesterday, he's legitimately sick. And now he's missing today, too. And so it just... And then my ex-wife and I did the math of every day, what it costs us every day he misses.
That's like college. They go less and less. The older they get, the fewer days they go to class, and you spend way more money.
Yeah, and it's funny, too, because it's like a double-edged sword because... So now here's the rule. Is that if you go to school, like, we're not going to pick you up unless it's an emergency. Like, let's just get that out of the way. There's a big doctor's office there. We're not picking you up from school if it's an emergency. But in fairness to him, he leaves at 6:30 in the morning, and he doesn't get home until 7:30. And if he has baseball, off-season stuff once or twice a week, he didn't get home until like 9, 10 o'clock. So there is something to be said that, like, if he doesn't feel well, like, for legitimately, he was running a fever and he was sick, that I'm not going to make him go to school. But having that conversation with him was very tough to navigate. Like, I'm not picking you up anymore from school unless it's an emergency. But you understand that I am erring on the side of caution with you going to school because, I'm tired. I get so tired. I go, I know. And if you're sick and you get more worn down, then there's a chance you miss more school, da-da-da-da-da. But that's what's going on with him. So I had a wonderful day with him yesterday. I had shoveled the driveway by myself. And I'm going to say it on the air. I want your opinion on this. So I live, because I'm divorced, I have a shared wall. Because you have to have a shared wall with another.
Yeah.
You're not allowed your own home. But I own this place. It's a big 300 square foot place, but it's a condo that's connected to another condo. Okay, so they're in front, I'm in back. They park in front of their garage, which is a relatively small area. It can fit 2 cars. Then my place has got like a bigger area to park, but it's in back. And then their place technically starts because I don't have to worry about, like, by my garage because I never use it, so I just leave the snow there. But there's probably about a 10 foot by 10 foot area that is like definitely my property.
Yep.
But then there's like a whole stretch of driveway that's like by their place, but they don't park on it. But neither do I. It's just something I have to drive up. And I almost hope they hear this. So the guy goes out and he shovels legitimately just that little area in front of his garage.
Yeah.
And my point is this, and I almost said something, but I didn't, is that we share a homeowner's insurance policy. Like, if someone comes up and, like, eats it on that and then sues us, you're to blame, too. And I'm not convinced if you go to a lawyer, well, it's literally 10 times as much space that I have to shovel. I did it pretty much yesterday.
So what about shared wall, shared driveway?
Well, that's the thing, is that obviously the area, which is a large area in front of my place, is my responsibility. I understand that. But then I'm like shoveling, 8 feet of driveway that is running parallel to where they live. I don't live in that part of it. And I get that they don't park on it.
Did you do it yesterday?
I did it yesterday because it was so bad, and I knew that it was going to get cold and it was going to all ice over.
Yeah.
So I did it. But, like, I was pretty kind of pissed off because I'm like...
They should do half. You should do, if you really want to go that far, do half each.
And it doesn't help because everyone that comes over to my house goes like, wow, that's like almost aggressive what they're doing. And they're lovely people. But it is really just this like bare minimum. I mean, it probably takes the guy... I would imagine 10 minutes to shovel his thing. I don't know.
Come on.
I don't know.
Billy, come on, get on it.
They're under my phone as neighbors.
Share. Neighbors.
They're in my phone as neighbors.
Help.
You got to have a conversation with them.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. You just got to say, look, how are we going? One of us has to be responsible for this.
Or
when
if we
the other one
at
isn't.
Least split the size of the
split it up.
driveway.
And
You
just
do half, I'll do half.
But you can't get mad if you haven't talked to them about it. Like there's
I'm not
no
mad.
expectation set.
I'm not mad. Well, Adam, like you do more than they did.
Yeah, I'm in the same situation that you are, right? Because as you said, you got to have a shared wall when you're divorced. But like I've had different tenants on the other side, and just had the conversation. Hey, here's the shared walkway. Who's going to be doing what? Okay, I'll do it then. You'll do it then. Great, set, awesome. Hey, I'm going to be out of town. Can you handle the? Yeah, well, I'll take care of the front. No problem. You just have to have the conversation.
Well, they do the front sidewalk because that's in front of their place. I don't know. It's almost like an act of aggression because
just hire a plow guy and send them the bill.
Yeah, if I can't hire a plow guy,
that's an act of aggression.
Right, or that or a Major League Baseball arbitrator.
Well, I asked them. I'm like, because I think they're like pretty rich and they belong to like the big country club and everything. And I'm like, so I texted them one time. I'm like, do you have a plow guy? Because I figured the plow guy was just plowing their little area because that's what plow guys do. And they said, no, we do it. We shovel it. And so then I was like, ugh. Because I was going to say, I'll pay the plow guy to do the other part of it. But since they do it, I'm out there for an hour in the rain yesterday.
It was terrible yesterday.
Yeah. And which is fine, but it's not. And I'm not buying a snowblower to do that. So it's like.
Could you hire a plow guy?
It's not worth
have them do your half.
If my half, my 90% apparently, like legit 90% of the driveway. If they had a plow guy, I was going to pay their plow guy, but I'm not paying a plow guy, so I have to take my car out and have him or her plow. See how I did that, Adam?
I like that.
I didn't put a gender on it. Have the human being go out and plow it because I can do it. But it's almost an act of aggression, and they're nice people, I guess. But like I don't know. And now I'm out.
Milo was with you yesterday.
He's sick.
Oh right, he's sick. Yeah,
he's got a bad neck too.
He would have helped.
Would he have helped you if he was not?
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
He's got a bad neck too.
Milo would have helped if Zoe was in town. You
got to take care of Milo.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Milo doesn't have to help. He's the lefty, right?
Oh, jeez.
Is he throwing off a mound every other day? Then don't let him do it.
No, that's the opposite. You want him to do the physical work to build up the muscles.
No, you never.
Not when you're throwing off a mound every other day.
Dan Roche, what did Cy Young do in the offseason? He took care of his farm. He took care of his horses.
That's way back then. Come on. Things have changed.
Plus, that's just throwing hay around.
Yes.
All right.
It's not the advanced scientific process now.
Well, that was my day yesterday.
Sounds like fun, Fred.
Yeah, I couldn't even wear my winter jacket into work today because it was it's still
under
soaked.
the snow. Oh.
No, it's still soaked. I was out in the rain. I was out in the rain listening to the Situations audiobook. Oh, the twists and turns of the Situations life. So many twists and turns. He wants you to feel bad because he doesn't have any money, but he at one point had 5 Lamborghinis. And I would imagine he was making $2 million a year and he had 5 Lamborghinis. To that, I would say.
Nice.
You weren't making the kind of income where you can afford 5 Lamborghinis. Let me buy something that will depreciate 75% the minute that I leave this. Those are the investments I like, that depreciate 75%. All right, well, what a show we have for you today.
Happy first full squad workout day.
Yep. Dan is very excited. We're going to give him a whole break to talk about the Red Sox because we've been neglecting them. And he can talk about how excited he is about Bregman and how that is a big deal and how they're back into it. You heard
Franchise changing.
Heard Scott Boras talking about it. He got the impression for John Henry that they want to win now.
That was your money soundbite.
Oh, very exciting. So we'll get to that. We will. But in last night, I was with my son, so I watched some of this NBA thing. I don't know we hear the Draymond audio, just a heads up, but Draymond did not like it.
I know, right? He was real helpful.
Yeah, he did not like it.
We have that audio.
Yeah, he really, really did not like it. All right, we will have that for you in just a moment, so we'll be right back.
You're listening.
we're Toucher and Hardy. What happened last night is brought to you by Leonard Hair Transplant Associates, where your hair doesn't have to be a game of what happens. So change your lettuce and change your life with Dr. Matthew Lepresti at 1-800-GET-HAIR. All right, Ryan, a big, huge weekend in sports. Well, actually, not a bad weekend in sports, but yesterday especially was huge.
The world stopped turning last night because the NBA All-Star Game has a new format, Fred. Team Kenny, Team Chuck, Team Candace, and the winners, Team Shaq.
Lob down low to Tatum. There's the flush. That's the finish. Shaq's OGs in the first ever NBA All-Star mini tournament. The champions of the 74th NBA All-Star Game.
Team Shaq featuring, among others, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Kyrie Irving. The MVP of the event, Steph Curry. All winners last night in a little mini tournament. This is what the NHL has tried to do in recent years with their All-Star Game, where they put 4 teams together. They play a little mini game, just play to 40. No clock or anything like that, right? Just play to 40.
Tatum got robbed.
Yeah, 15 points in 11 minutes in the
Should've been the
championship.
MVP.
Doesn't get the MVP.
Well, you understand what was going on, why Curry got the MVP.
What do you mean? Because they were in San Francisco?
Yes, because they were in San Francisco, and because when he made the half-court shot, the team started feeding him, and then he wanted it. The coolest thing that Steph Curry did, and again, I never in a million years wanted to watch this. I like how they got right to it, though, by the way. There was no pomp and circumstance. And then I also like...
The introductions take longer than the game.
Halftime or whatever the break you call it was great, too.
And who knew how terrible the hip-hop out of the living artists that are hip-hop artists. Was that En Vogue? Who does the Free Your Mind?
That's En Vogue.
Yeah. So who knew En Vogue were hip-hop? But who knew how terrible the hip-hop out of the East Bay was? Too short. And then it was En Vogue, and then people I had no idea who they were, and they were old.
Ryan was saying E40 did the halftime show. Did they not have Souls of Mischief? They were a Bay Area collective.
They did
still
not.
Around
and Shock G's dead, so they couldn't do Digital Underground.
Yeah.
But
R.I.P.
I wanted to watch Saturday Night Live's 50th a little bit, and my son was like, "Put on basketball," and so I put on basketball, and it would not be basketball. It would be Kevin Hart not being funny.
Oh, my gosh. That was the worst part. That whole crew, the TNT crew, had their worst night, I think, ever last night, including Kevin Hart.
Well, I think it's because that was it for them. Like
but it's not.
I know.
They're just moving to ESPN.
Yeah, I know, but they're taking it super personally. Like Shaq, you guys saw that Shaq said the S word and the F word,
Yes.
leaving the last thing. So are they done for the year now?
No.
Okay, so
Nothing's
they're back.
changed.
Well, no, but it has. They're all butthurt about leaving
TNT.
Yeah, so they don't like leaving TNT for whatever reason. They're not happy.
Like
about
they all
it.
have like 8-figure salaries next year for ESPN. What's
For
the
whatever
point?
reason, they don't like leaving TNT. They don't like it, but it was very uncomfortable. They only had one mic. So there was a guy holding the interviews. In between every game, there was a guy doing the interviews, and the coaches of the two teams that were playing in the next game would be there, and then a player from both teams. But they only had one microphone. So it was Kevin Hart and the guy who was announcing or doing the interviews. They had a microphone, and then the coach and the other player had to share a microphone, and it was completely disjointed.
And the players were rolling their eyes at one point. It was just like, enough.
Yeah, exactly. Right? And then they're like, ladies and gentlemen, like he's a DJ. They had Gary Payne come out. He's like, there's this DJ who's, done all this stuff. And you're thinking, oh, if it was LA, it would be Dr. Dre. If it was New York City, it would be, who knows? You could have Pete Rock. You could have many, many people. But you could even have Kool Herc. You could just have anyone. But it was some white guy that was terrible. That was the guy, and he was just bringing up faceless people to just up and up and up. And so anyway, it was not good. It was not good. There was very little basketball. But Steph Curry, the coolest thing that he did is he made a running three-pointer He was like running and just like kind of like flipped it up.
I'd play that for you.
It's
a short one.
Yeah, all right. And he also, in the night before, just made some shot one-handed behind his back.
Steph Curry, a running three-pointer, goes down 3-0 early.
Yeah,
that's a good call.
Thank God we played that.
Well, as a play-by-play guy, that's the first shot of the game. You got to leave room for it to get better.
Well, it didn't. It's funny because Steph Curry, it's almost like something I've never seen. He's just blessed with this uncanny ability to, like, it's not even practice or anything else. He just, it's not, some guys are fast. Some guys are really strong. Some guys have, incredible eye-hand coordination. I don't doubt he has any of those things, but there is some, like, inherent ability, and thank God there's basketball, because what a worthless skill it would be. But he can just sit with the ball in his hand.
He's the greatest shooter.
There's no question. I mean,
I've ever seen. He can hit from the stands. He can hit from wherever you want.
He took a ball, put it in his hand, and threw it behind his head, and it went right in. He has some weird ability that would be completely worthless in the wild, or if there was no basketball. But it's inherent to basketball, and
it's made him money.
And he's the best shooter I've ever seen. But apparently Spike Lee was there because I can see now that he was joshing with the people. All right. So, they did games up to 40. Right.
Right. But the format itself is taking some criticism, including from one Draymond Green.
You work all year to be an all-star, and you get to play up to 40, and then you're done. This is so unfair to Victor Wembanyama, who just took this game really seriously, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who just took this game really seriously. When you talk about chasing after the points records, Melo and Kobe and all these guys who've had great scoring nights, they don't get the opportunity to do that with this game. Also, we can watch some rising stars. We're about to watch the Olympic team. Now we get the treat of watching the Olympic team play against a U19 team. Come on, what are we doing?
Scale of 1 to 10, your thoughts of the format?
10 being the best?
Yes.
A 0. Sucks.
We'll be right back.
But stay tuned for more.
But the points he makes are dumb, and I love Draymond. And I like that he said it, but the All-Star game has been atrocious for years, and the idea that there's a team of young players is at least a little bit interesting. The All-Star game is the reason they're doing this is because the All-Star game sucks so bad. And no one wants to watch a whole game. So, and who cares about scoring records in the All-Star game?
Do you know what the NBA's All-Star game scoring record is?
I know who
of
holds
course.
it, right?
No, I have no idea. Who holds it?
Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
Is that true?
From 2 years ago, he scored 55. Do you know how many people remember that? Like 12.
It's Roche and Roche and Tatum.
I heard it last night. That was the only reason why.
Roche and Tatum are the guys. And by the way, Tatum's the best player to ever play basketball, so it's good that he had that. You know what? The only performance in an All-Star game I remember is because of the age I was. Mark Chambers. When Mark Chambers won MVP. He won it in like 84, 85, or 86, one of those years.
When people cared and played.
And Mark Chambers, I was like, who is Mark Chambers? I was a kid. Said, who is this guy? He's white. And I've never heard of him in my entire life. I guess he played for like Phoenix or something when they sucked. And he went out and won the MVP. That's the only one I remember. That's it. I didn't even know the skills competition was on Saturday night. I had no idea.
Nobody cares about the dunk contest anymore because you got a G Leaguer who's won it 3 years in a row.
Yeah, and it's just boring. They've done everything they can do. It was fun, now it was fun 30 years ago when it was new. And remember when they first did it, it was Dominique and Michael Jordan, who were two of the biggest stars in the NBA. And it was still like and anything Jordan did was like insane. Like his presence. When he was in a dunk contest, anything he did, you like stopped and went, ooh. And then they would still photos of it. They would make 100 pictures of. It was a big thing. Even though Dominique deserved to win one of those years. He got robbed because it wasn't the star power. All right, Ryan, what happened? So you tell us with this thing, with this whole thing. Is that it?
That's it.
Yeah.
How in depth do you want to get?
Not very. So Team Shaq then beat Team Chuck in the final. And no one was happy. And it was bad. It was
nice
bad.
that LeBron took a spot, though, from someone else.
That's the other
that was
part,
nice.
too.
Yeah,
What are we
LeBron did
doing?
not play last night. Decided he was injured right before the game.
And the NBA Players Association had this big powwow with everybody and said, we're going to play hard. We need the players. You guys need to play hard. That was the big theme and talk. And then the next day, 40 minutes before the game, LeBron announces that he's not playing.
Well, that's why they moved to this format, is because nobody takes the All-Star game seriously anymore, and it's just
right.
guys throwing up threes, and
the
final score is like 212 to 200.
And by the way, that place was empty last night. It was empty. Like it used to. Remember when the NBA All-Star Weekend was this big thing? Like at least in like the urban community, it was this like huge thing. No one was there last night. But the good thing about LeBron not playing was people crapped on him. Vince Carter crapped on him. Draymond crapped on him. And another Hall of Famer said something about him taking spots from
you couldn't go out and half-ass it for 8 minutes?
I don't know why he even showed up.
Just smile.
Like, you don't have to do anything. It's not like it's an ultra competitive game. Like, just go out there and half-ass it up and down the court for 8 minutes.
Like he woke up yesterday morning and said, "I don't want to play,"
or put on a uniform and and like play like a minute, and then people have bonuses. I'm sure like about being an All-Star. I will say this: there was a couple people on the All-Star team that neither me nor my son had any idea who they were. I would have to check the roster to see who. But there were a couple of people, not even on the kid team. I knew 2 people on the kid team. I knew Connect and I knew Zach Edey. That was about it. But other than that, I did not know some of these players.
By the way, Fred, Jaylen Brown said after the game, it kind of seemed like it was a little empty in here tonight. I don't think in Boston that would happen. And Boston hasn't had an All-Star game since 1964.
And is that something you're chomping at the bit for?
Yeah.
You really want that coming back here?
I don't really, but people do.
You'd have to go,
I know.
They'd make you go. And that would be your weekend.
I was at the Garden yesterday for the Four Nations practices. They didn't practice. It's great.
You went for the practices and they didn't practice?
Only Cale McCarr. He stepped onto the ice.
Canadians got in at like 6 a.m.
Yeah, U.S.
yesterday,
at 5.
so they turned it into an optional skate.
Saw the equipment manager, one of the guys for Canada, as I was walking through the halls. What time did you guys get in? 6 a.m. Ooh.
I'm trying to think
That's
of
Ryan's life now.
I'm trying to think of who I didn't know on one of those teams. I can't find it off the top of my head. But he might have played for Cleveland, and I'm like, who the hell is this guy? I didn't care for it. All right, we'll be back when we come back. Are we doing the Four Nations thing? Is that what
we're going to do? The Sox.
Oh, we're doing the Sox. Oh, that's right.
Alex Bregman meeting the media yesterday.
Oh, Danny.
Franchise-altering day, Fred.
Were you there for that? Were you there for
I watched the whole thing from start to finish.
Okay. Did you take notes?
Mentally.
Okay, so you're prepared with those notes?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a new day, right?
Yeah, don't laugh. It's a big day.
I'm not laughing. Do you hear me laughing?
Inside.
Yeah, TT boy. TT boy's laughing because he's the king. He was the most physical of all male porn stars. All right, we'll be back in a moment. Here are the headlines.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Team Shaq, the winners of the NBA All-Star Game featuring Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. It was Steph Curry named the event's MVP. Celtics will get back from the break on Thursday night when they visit the Sixers. NHL's Four Nations face-off comes to TD Garden for a pair of games today, Canada and Finland at 1 p.m., and then the U.S. will take on Sweden at 8. Team USA has already qualified for Thursday's championship game. First day of full-team workouts down at Red Sox spring training. Alex Bregman met the media for the first time since signing with the team yesterday and said Dustin Pedroia was a big part of recruiting him to sign with Boston. Yankees say Giancarlo Stanton is dealing with elbow soreness, may not be ready in time for opening day. And a report out of Baltimore says 7 more women have now accused Ravens kicker Justin Tucker of inappropriate behavior during massages. That makes 16 massage therapists who have come forward. Tucker denies any wrongdoing. Headlines are brought to you by NetSuite by Oracle. Companies of all sizes have harnessed the power of NetSuite by Oracle and AI to improve forecasting, planning, and customer support. Uncover insightful, profit-driven recommendations for your business today. Learn more at netsuite.com/Celtics. I'm Ryan Johnston on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. More headlines at 7.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy.
the 17 thing. Now, you explained yourself in Houston after the cheating of the Astros in 17. What is your message to Red Sox fans regarding how they should view your behavior then and since then in baseball?
I just want to come in and work hard every single day, trying to be a good teammate, play hard, leave it all out in the field, and win. Did you get roughed up in Boston, booed by the fans when you came there in 2021? Yeah, but it's all good.
That's Bregman talking about Dan Shaughnessy asking about the big cheating scandal that he was a part of in Houston, and he answered it dead on. He said, I like it. I'm going to try hard, is what he said in response to that. Are you still upset about the cheating scandal? Oh, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting.
It's all right, Fred. I understand.
Yeah.
No. Let's move on. It's 20.
I always forget about it. It really didn't bother me at all. I didn't have a horse in the race that year, so it doesn't really matter to me.
It only bothers Yankee fans, right?
Yeah, it bothers Yankee fans. But they, grab Mookie Betts' gloves. So what do they want?
That's right.
And if I'm a Yankee fan, after that kid robbed, was it Cleveland or the Orioles? It was the Orioles.
Orioles, yeah.
After that kid robbed the Orioles, what do you want? You had your stroke of luck. Let people cheat around you. If it's that big a deal, I just think it's funny that no one figured it out. It wasn't too subtle.
The loud banging.
Yeah, there's banging on stuff, and then they were like, "Oh, we figure out after the fact." All right, but that's the deal. Is that Bregman was introduced to the media.
Got a chance to meet Dan Shaughnessy and everyone else down there at Fort Myers, except for Dan. How are you not there?
There's just very few people down there this year. I think the only TV station is Nesson, and Channel 5 went for Monday through Friday of last week and left. And it was because I think Duke, his dad has a condo down there, so that was the reason why he stayed down there.
So he was able to save them a hotel room. That was the difference between going and not.
I guess.
I know local television isn't in a great place, and a lot of local radio is not in a great place. But it can't be financial. Is it just that people don't care?
I think that was the apathy part was big.
Yeah, because
especially last year.
Yeah,
people are angry. They were angry.
You got people really tuning in for the late local news just to see what happened today at Red Sox spring training.
Well, how long ago was it that people did care?
Last night, I was on Sports Final. I hosted.
How long ago was it that people
11:30
were like keenly tuned into spring training? Because it's been a long time.
It's been a long time. Everything changed after they won the first World Series, right? I thought 2013 was probably like the big one because of what happened. That was the marathon afterwards. But I also think that like 18, people were angry at that team. They didn't really like that team. So it's been a while since people have hopped on board. What was the 2021 run to the ALCS when they beat the Yankees, and that was kind of like the Red Sox fans were back.
No, I'm talking more about spring training.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Because
you know what I mean? Because we used to, when I was first, I think I stayed there in 03, 04, 05, like 26 days each time. And we were chasing Kevin Millar arriving from Japan in a truck. He's driving all around. Manny Ramirez, Julian Tavares telling me that he was going to be late because his grandmother died. And it was like the fifth time he used that excuse in his time in a Red Sox uniform. And that was like big time news everywhere. Those days have left us.
Because
I'm trying to think when officially it did.
Because I came here in 2006, and I think there were still people at Truck Day back then. It wasn't certain.
Oh yeah,
back
then,
2006. I think that Truck Day there were like people there, but I don't recall I don't recall it being anything for at least 15 years. I don't recall anyone particularly caring.
Well, it used to be that people took their vacation, their February vacation was to go down to Red Sox camp, and you'd see the crowds were massive. When you first arrived, when you drove up, people were waiting in line.
But that's Fort Myers. I mean, people just can be there anyway. They love it.
Yeah.
It's such a great place in Florida. I'm going to spring training this year.
Are you really?
Milo.
Jupiter?
I'm going to, we're staying in Palm Beach and we're going to go to a few games.
Awesome. It's such a great take.
And then I got to fly back, and then he flies back down because, of course, his school does spring training at Port St.
Lucie? Yeah, my son did that when he played.
Yeah. I like how they throw that bill at you. They're like, oh,
It's all part of it, Fred. Just get used to it.
Yeah,
Just go with it.
it's a lot of fun. All right, so you're are you excited about this Bregman thing?
Yes.
We'll get into it in more depth later, but this you heard Scott Boras talking about it, and Scott Boras said when he got the impression from John Henry that they are looking to win again.
I think
there was a bit of a charge, a bit of an onus to really return back to winning. Probably a conversation I had with John where he expressed a sincerity and more of a passion of saying that we're missing something here that should be here, that has been here, something that's been lost, and we have a strong intention to return it.
It's about time.
Yeah.
Right?
Just noticing that, John?
I know. Where's he been? I mean, I thought, Fred, for so many reasons that it should open up a breath of fresh air for everybody when it comes to the Red Sox. If you're a Red Sox fan, this should kind of make you feel like, okay, things are getting back to where they should be as far as the Red Sox are concerned. Everything that you want them to do, they did it this offseason. They ended up doing it this offseason, and pulling the trigger on the Bregman deal kind of sealed everything because it creates a presence for them. It gives them a winning experience. It gives them everything they need in that locker room. And now they just go out and Alex Cora said yesterday, it's work hard. That's his message this morning when he addresses the team along with John Henry and Sam Kennedy. It'll be let's go out and just put in the work. It's not about winning a World Series. It's about putting in the work every single day, and we should be a good team. And that's what you need to see. You're finally seeing it with this Red Sox team. It's been a while.
And are you getting the impression that people care?
Yes.
Okay.
Starting to care.
All right.
I think people are, surprisingly cynical with everything, but I think now the more that it sinks in what Bregman can mean to this franchise, I think people are starting to come around and get excited about it.
And now
I really do. I think it's legit, too.
And now there's a rumor that they could be looking to make a move with
Dylan
Cease over there with the Padres.
Bring it, right? Just keep bringing it. I'd be fine with that, too. You're going to need those arms. We've already seen, Cutter Crawford is behind a little bit. Brian Bayo's behind a little bit. So, yeah, bring in the more arms you got, better off you're going to be.
And the AL sucks, so,
Yes, it's an opportunity.
Yeah, there's a big opportunity there. So if you get in, Christ, the Tigers with that awful team and who sold at the deadline won around the playoffs. I mean, there's a possibility there.
And I think, Fred, you mentioned the Tigers. What got me about the Bregman signing was the teams that were in on him until the end and offered him 6-year deals and what have you were the teams that he played for. And to me, that says everything about what he is. The manager that he played for in A.J. Hinch in Detroit, the bench coach that he played for in Houston with Alex Cora and the Red Sox, and then the Houston Astros. They were all after his services. Those were the three main suitors, the Cubs a little bit. But that, to me, says everything about what kind of things that he can bring to this team besides the bat and everything else. It's inside the clubhouse and every single day. And Cora called him, basically a baseball rat, that kind of player. You need that. You need that over the course of every day in a baseball season.
It's all about the intangibles, Fred.
That's right. And by the way, in fairness,
don't be sarcastic,
how much
Ryan.
did Houston really?
I'm being sarcastic.
In fairness, how much did Houston really want him? And the talk in Detroit is that was to appease the fans. They screwed up so much with Baez. I don't think they could afford to take Bregman. That would because if you screw that up now, because Bregman's not a can't miss. Last year he struggled. There was a lot of swings and misses. Bregman, I assume, will be good. He's not a guarantee. I think the Tigers might have dodged themselves a little bit of a bullet.
Well, and the other good part of it, too, is that the Red Sox were able to do the bridge contract.
Yeah, it's like a 1 year.
They can get him 1 year or they get him 2 year. I mean, Bregman would be nuts to opt out after 1 year. If he's going to make $40 million a year, I think he's like the sixth highest
paid player
in the game. So
yeah, he wouldn't opt out. But yeah, I mean, it's a bridge deal.
It's a short-term deal for the Red Sox.
Yeah,
so.
and he's betting on himself.
Yeah.
So do you think it's more he's betting on himself, or he really wanted to play in Boston?
I think a combination of both.
Yeah, probably.
But it sounds like he really wanted to come here.
Yeah,
for all good reasons.
For $40 million a year, you would really want to come here.
Yeah, stop with the sarcasm.
No,
Ryan.
I'm serious.
Right?
It's
don't bring me down.
You think
it's
if
the
he had
first full
signed
squad day and you're sitting here, everything I say you're shooting right down with your sarcasm.
You think if he signed in Detroit for $40 million a year, he wouldn't be sitting at Tigers camp right now going, I really wanted to play in Detroit. I couldn't wait.
Yeah, I mean, the Tigers did not
narrative.
offer him nearly as much per year. So maybe he's betting on himself, and Boris told him, take this shorter deal, and then you can go and you'll make more in the long run. Because there's a lot being made that he turned them down to go to Boston, but I don't know if the financial aspects of it do make sense for him coming to Boston. I've heard a lot on this station of people like pounding their chests like he wanted to come here, and I'm with Ryan a little bit. Like that sounds like a Boris thing saying, "Hey." Boris doesn't seem to play like, "Hey, go where you're happy." Boris seems to be like, go where this
Who's got the biggest check?
Yeah,
that's where we're going.
And exactly. And like, I don't doubt he wanted to play in Boston, but I'm not sure that
Yeah,
was
Boris has done that pretty much with 98% of his clients, right? He kind of take money. The one guy, Jason Varitek, was one who basically said, you can do whatever you want, shop my services, go out and find whatever teams you want to offer me contracts, but I want you to, at the end of the day, I want to sign in Boston and stay in Boston.
Adam very rudely on President's Day got in my ear and said, we have to break.
Oh, okay. I'm here for 3 more hours, Fred. I'll talk all day about it. And I don't care if Ryan wants to bring me down just because his team's struggling.
All right, we'll be back.
We'll take a break.
Hey, he's got his championship. Don't worry about him. All right, we'll be back. Dan is, as he often does, he's composed a game for us to play. And so look out. Hold on to your funny bones. Dan's got a game for us. We'll have that in just a moment.
Toucher and Hut.
into the end zone, trying to keep the play alive. Falling down, he throws to the end zone. It's caught. Touchdown!
WBZFM and HD Boston. 98.5, the Sports Hub. A Beasley Media Group station.
Sports Hub headlines. Presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
NBA All-Star Game last night. New 4-team mini-tournament format. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown were part of Team Shaq, who won the event. Tatum had 15 points in 11 minutes in the title game. Steph Curry named the event's MVP. Celtics are off until Thursday night when they visit the Sixers. NHL's Four Nations face-off moving to TD Garden for a pair of games today. It'll be Canada and Finland at 1 p.m. and then the U.S. and Sweden at 8. USA has already qualified for Thursday's championship game. The afternoon game today, if either team wins in regulation, they will move on to the final. It's the first day of full-team workouts at Red Sox spring training. Yesterday, Alex Bregman officially meeting the media for the first time since putting on a Sox uniform. Yankees say Giancarlo Stanton, dealing with elbow soreness, may not be ready in time for opening day. William Byron, the winner at the rain-delayed Daytona 500 last night. Ludwig Oberg won the PGA Tour's Genesis Invitational at Torrey Pines. Headlines brought to you by Rodenheiser Home Services, now offering up to $2,000 off a new heating system. Book your free estimate today at Rodenheiser.com. I'm Ryan Johnston on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. More headlines in around 30 minutes.
Boston's best sports talk. There's an app for that. Download the Sports Hub app for loads of stuff. Absolutely free. Connect with the shows, get podcasts, and more. Get it where you get your apps. Or at 98.5sportshub.com. Toucher and Hardy.
Such an fantastic explosion.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
So much.
Yeah.
It's not one of those novelty songs
Like
from your
Meatloaf.
youth. Oh. So we are.
We got a real pressure cooker going here.
We are Toucher and Hardy. And Ryan Johnston is in for John, who's taking the day off to sit home in the cold. And Dan is in for Hardy, who is off in Puerto Rico, as they say. I say it like someone who lives there. All right. So, by the way, we're brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. You can watch us on YouTube. Subscribe to 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube. I'm sure the conversation on it is very lively now. Maybe it's only people who crap on us consistently. Hardy tortures himself by looking at it. I have managed to avoid that. All right, Dan, you come up with a game. You're so good about it. Every day you come in, you come prepared, and you've come up with a game. And, Dan, they usually follow your interests, so I can only imagine what's going on. What are we going to do today?
I think Adam was a big help here, too. I think it's...
Oh, so your blood's on this.
All right. This is a game, Fred, in honor of President's Day, right? It's a big day today for you. I know you celebrate. Dead
Who
Veep,
doesn't?
Dead Veep or Dead Ball Creep?
Take me out to the ball game.
All right, dead guy who was the vice president of the United States of America, or a dead ball creep?
Yes, I'll give you a name. You tell me if it's a former U.S. vice president or a dead ball era MLB player with a criminal past.
Well, all of them. You've watched, how many times you watched Ken Burns' baseball?
Yeah.
How many times?
Multiple.
Yeah, I've watched it multiple times, too. They had a bunch of idiots playing back then.
They certainly did, Fred.
Like a guy who would chase the train when it came by. Like they first of all, many of them were drunk, and then they would be on cocaine.
Yeah,
during
George
the games.
Edward Waddell, Hall of Famer Rube Waddell.
Yeah.
Right? He played for the Philadelphia Athletics, St. Louis Browns in the 1900s. A heavy drinker, heavily eccentric, would leave the mound mid-game to chase fire trucks or pet dogs in the stands.
Yeah.
That's great. You just gave one of them away, Dan.
I know, but I wasn't going to use that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
But, yeah.
It's a little bonus.
I got news for you. I'll get none of these right. But listen, Ryan does the Bruins games. He's worked in sports talk radio, and he has worked in political radio. So
right, and he went to Syracuse, so he's an historian.
I've got a shot of naming some of the dead vice presidents.
Let's get right to it.
Ryan needed to be on point with these dead vice presidents. It was people are very into history nowadays.
All right, dead Veep or dead ball creep. All right, let's start with Skylar Colfax.
All right, so that could be a curveball, no pun intended, because of course, the familiarity of Sandy Koufax.
Yes. This is spelled different, though.
Well, that helps.
Colfax.
Okay, Ryan, I'm going to let you go first.
I'm going dead ball era.
Okay, I'm going to say he's tricking us with Koufax and that it is a dead vice president.
Fred?
Yeah.
Congratulations. And you remember him, right?
Up to the ball game.
He was a vice president under Grant, elected in 1868.
Talk about a drunk.
Yes.
Ulysses says Grant, big drunk.
Next
big
one.
Alcoholic.
Dead Veep or dead ball creep, Hannibal Hamlin.
Well, that can't be a vice president.
It absolutely was a vice president.
How do you know?
I know my history.
Ryan? There you go. Thank you very much.
The fever and had it bad.
Who was he under?
He was Lincoln's first vice president, elected in 1860.
Yeah, I don't care for Lincoln. I don't like what he did.
All right, we'll go to number
He made
3.
a lot of mistakes.
Dead ball creep or dead Veep?
I'm kidding, by the way.
Sam Crane.
Do you looking at me like you know?
You've been watching? You've been cheating?
No.
Oh no, yeah, he's been cheating. That's
Yes,
all,
I have a list up of all the dead vice presidents in front of me.
All Ryan wants to do is win this game, improve his intelligence by knowing vice presidents.
I'll take
presidents. Can I go first? I'm guessing vice president.
Okay.
No, I'm going to go with dead ball.
Ryan? All right, there you go.
Did you know the player?
I believe I have heard of the player, yes.
He played for the shortstop for the Athletics and Reds in the 1910 teens and the 20s. Convicted of murdering his girlfriend and her boyfriend in the spring of 1930, sentenced to 18 to 36 years in prison. His former manager, Hall of Famer Connie Mack, arranged for his parole in 1944.
Well, that's one of the great deeds Connie Mack did.
Yes.
Now, is it because he played for the Philadelphia Athletics?
It could be. That might be a Philly connection there. That's
fan.
why I remember.
Okay.
All right, next one, a dead ball creep or dead Veep, Robert Roy Evans.
Well, that's Bob Evans, who is a great American.
Right, great dressing, salad dressing.
There was a Bob Evans restaurant not a mile and a half from my house where I never went into it.
My
I had
sister
friends
has
who worked there.
ordered the dressing on
Bob Evans dressing?
Yeah, the poppy seed dressing.
They serve salads at Bob Evans?
Yes, sir.
I just assumed it was an all sausage-based menu. Okay, what's the guy's name again?
Robert Roy Evans.
Everyone went by 3 names back then. Isn't that amazing?
It's like Three Finger Brown.
Like serial killers.
Well, Three Finger Brown, that was not because he had 3 fingers. It was because of more of his wife. Let me think here. Dan doesn't get it.
Dead ball creep or dead Veep?
It was shocking, you understand?
Yep, Robert Roy Evans. Come on, Freddie.
Robert Roy Evans. That sounds to me like a vice president. They were a little pretentious. They would go with 3 names.
I will go with dead ball.
Ryan? Freddie, I think you're open.
No, I got the first one.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, because I knew you were trying to throw me off with the Koufax.
He pitched for the Browns, Senators, Giants, and Superbas, the Dodgers, in the late 1800s, early 1900s. Best known for scamming teams out of money, sentenced to prison for bigamy, had at least 4 wives at once.
You went to prison for bigamy?
Yeah.
It seems like your own decision. Do you like them legislating morality like that, Dan?
No, sirree, Freddie.
I mean, 4 wives seems like a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't want that.
You need 9 wives if you're a baseball player, right? That was a Fred joke.
Apparently,
Waiting
I'm
for
going to
it.
have to have the drop.
Waiting for it.
No, you don't have to put that. You just put a big car crash for those. I would go so far as to say that no, I would not want 4 wives at any point.
Yeah, no.
I would. That seems like a lot.
All right, you want one more and we'll be done? Is that all right for you?
Sure.
I mean, you got to cut this short?
I don't know. Because Freddie,
You got 4.5 minutes, so you might as well go. It's President's Day.
How about Richard Mentor Johnson? Dead Veep or dead
all right,
ball
do you know this?
creep?
I do not know it.
Okay,
no.
so you don't know it.
He's just going to guess whatever you say, the opposite.
No. He seems to have a good hand on. Well, if he doesn't know, it makes me think it's a baseball player. But you've done a bunch of baseball players in a row. So just because of knowing your lack of creativity, I'm going to say that it was a vice president.
All right, Ryan.
I'm going to go with vice president.
All right, you're both in domino.
All right, very.
You can do.
He was under Martin Van Buren, elected in 1836.
You big Van Buren boys?
Big time.
Yeah.
All right, last one.
You had to know the hand signal or you're in big trouble.
Pierce Childs. Dead ball creep or dead Veep?
Well, you're ending on it, so it's a baseball player, but Pierce does sound like, because then Pierce is maybe a little thing because Pierce was
a big name back then. Yeah, presidential.
But I'm going to say you're ending it on a dead ball killer.
Yeah, I would go with
you
that.
guys
as
are
well.
picking up my patterns.
Yeah, they're not hard.
All right, yeah. So you both get a ding. There you go.
1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out.
He played for the Phillies in 1899 and 1900, given a 2-year jail sentence for theft, escaped prison after 16 months.
Yeah, back then you could just walk out.
Yeah, you could do whatever you wanted.
Yeah, back then it was no big deal.
Take me out to the ball game.
All right, fellas, you guys did well.
All right. How much do you know about the dead ball era?
Not much. I played there's a great website, Simnasium.com.
Uh-huh.
If Fred, you would love this. I think I've said this to you before, where you draft, you get a $100 million salary cap, and you draft players from the 1800s all the way through today, and they give a different monetary value, and then you pick your park you want to play in. So if you wanted to pick the Busch Stadium of the 1980s, you could do that and then draft, Willie McGee and all those players. And it's a 16-team league. They simulate 3 games a day through the playoffs in the World Series. And so I got to know some of the dead ball era players more so because of that,
How? And now you play 3 games a day for how many days?
For the season, so 162 games. So.
Oh wow! So you would play like 500 games a season? Oh, but they're simulating them.
162 games.
Yeah, but 3 games a day.
3 games a day. So it kind of gets you through the off season.
Oh, off season. Okay.
Yeah.
And
I made it to the World Series once. You compete against guys from around the country.
Okay.
That team I had Coors Field, and my best hitter was I had Boggs leading off, who's underrated and everything else. But who was it? The guy who played for the San Francisco Giants, Kevin Mitchell's numbers at Coors Field were insane.
All right,
so it was good. And Fox, I had Jimmy Fox batting cleanup. I think
Mitchell played a year for the Red Sox too.
Yeah,
I watched live a Cardinal Met game as a child, and Kevin Mitchell reached up.
Oh, yeah, that game?
I wasn't in the stands. I just was watching it on TV, and he reached up and he barehanded the ball because he couldn't be bothered. He couldn't figure it out how to get his mitt on it.
That was one of those great moments.
I wonder what happened to him. Kevin Mitchell was on pace to be like this big, huge superstar, and then he kind of fell off.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Dan,
that was the
thank
cool
you.
part of it. So you could do that. That was fun. And then I went the strategy of having sinker ball pitchers pitching Coors Field, which helped.
Oh, because
like
a lot
Rick,
of ground
Rick
balls.
Russell and Derek Lowe and things like that. It was good.
A lot of ground balls.
Strategy, Freddie.
That's something annoying. Going to a game with my father, he'll go like, "They're not calling low strikes. This is going to be a bloodbath." That's what my big father thing is. They're not calling low strikes.
Yeah.
It's going to be a bloodbath.
That's nice. It's a moment.
All right. So, are you going to the Four Nations tonight?
I think so. I'm supposed to be live from there, so I'm filling in on TV all week. Sunday through Thursday for Steve was on vacation, so I might be live from there. I was there yesterday for practices and media availabilities.
So the divisional game that Hardy and I went to for the Lions was the most expensive divisional game of all time. I believe the tickets for the Four Nations tonight are more expensive than that.
I think Thursday night's the
Thursday
big one now.
night is. I mean, the get-in tickets right now are going for over $900.
Yeah.
Well, I just saw $1,000.
Yeah.
And
But
then
tonight or for Thursday?
I was under the assumption it was for tonight, but maybe it's for Thursday.
Thursdays, tonight's game is essentially meaningless. For
Right.
But I think people still want to go now after the excitement
Sweden.
of Saturday.
Yeah, well, the Swede, those Swedes aren't going to fight. The European players aren't going to fight. I'm interested, though, why there was all that fighting at the beginning of that game. We have 2 hockey guests on today and Ryan Johnston in here. We could have probably not even had McBride on because Ryan's here. That was a big miscalculation by Adam. But
I love Jimmy. I'll have him on anytime.
I love Jim McBride, too. I'm just saying I don't, because it's almost a slap in the face to Ryan because Ryan is exclusively covering the game now.
He's but he's covering the Four Nations and I'm not.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I think to have, what happened on Saturday night, Fred, I think it's pretty relevant to have Jim McBride on.
Yeah,
That was one of the greatest nights ever.
And the ratings for that game were, as
good.
hockey standards, going very good.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Well, yeah, I wish I watched the beginning of it. I didn't have any idea there was going to be 3 fights right away. I would have liked to have seen that.
What were you doing?
On Saturday night.
At 8:06?
I was actually out Holy moly, imagine that. I was out.
Good for
I was
you.
out at dinner. Imagine that. All right, we'll be back in just a moment with Jim McBride.
Stay tuned for more Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub. Kia. honesty.
I am not known as Mr. Fun.
Toucher and Hardy continues on the Sports Hub.
He's one of the guys everybody turns to when, everything's kind of under fire. And then even down the stretch in games when we were tied against Sweden in overtime, down against the U.S., the loudest, guy on the bench pumping everybody up is Brad Marchand. And for somebody that's been around as long as he has, he doesn't have to do that. But he wears, like his heart's the shape of maple leaf. And it's awesome to be around him.
Hey!
What shape do you think your heart is?
Whatever the Grinch's was. We are Toucher and Hardy. Jim McBride, of course, covers the Bruins for the Boston Globe. He's covering the Four Nations as today it is in the beautiful TD Garden. Canada takes on Finland at 1 o'clock and Sweden, USA at 8 o'clock. As is it USA and Canada in the final pretty much no matter what?
Canada has to win in regulation today to guarantee themselves a spot.
To guarantee it, okay. All right, very good. Jim McBride, thank you for joining us, sir. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Looking forward to the games, but looking forward more to see Roche at TD Garden.
Hey, Beansy. How you doing?
Good.
Are you going to be at TD Garden tonight?
I hope to get over there, yeah.
Yeah, he hopes to. I wouldn't hold your breath, Ryan, Jim. I don't think that there's a good chance that Dan gets over there. He's got to be in studio, right?
But I could be live in between games doing the 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock news.
Oh.
The game's at 1 and the other game's at 8.
Are you going to have to be there for the 1 o'clock game?
TBD. I might show up late in the third period.
Because Dan worked till 12:30 last night. He came in this morning. He's doing this show, and then if you have to go over there at 1,
long day.
You might die. So my suggestion is go. All right. So Jim McBride.
Really?
Why was there all that? This is going to sound stupid, but I don't know. Like, what was the reason for all the fighting? I understand the third fight, but what was the reason for the immediate fighting in the U.S.-Canada game?
I think, after losing so many games to Canada on the international stage, the Americans were tired of hearing about it, and they wanted a physical response. And if you want a physical response, you get Keith Kachuk's kids to do it for you because they are, in his words, lunatics. And I think that was just 9 years of frustration and reading about the Canadian dominancy and Sidney Crosby and the best player in the world, Connor McDavid. And I think there was a little bit of maybe, they felt a little disrespected. And I think they wanted an opening statement. And boy, was it an opening statement.
Sometimes you just want to get the crowd going, too, in an event like that. It happened, actually. There was a clip that the Bruins put out last week of Nikita Zadorov. The last time they played the Ottawa Senators, he was trying to get Brady Tkachuk to drop the gloves right off the bat. And he's like, he skates over to Tkachuk. He's like, hey, you want to get the crowd going? Like, let's do it right now. Sometimes it's just as simple as that.
Saturday night was probably a way to get the crowd. The energy was there, but this was to get it maybe on their side or just kind of take it away from the Canadian side a little bit because, they were the aggressors in the fights, the Americans. And, I think if you're unbiased, you probably think they went 3-0 in those fights. And that's a way to take the wind out of the Canadian sails and the crowd.
Oh, you think they went 3-0 in that? The United States? Do you think they won the third flight?
JT Miller got his ass handed.
Yeah, he got his ass kicked. Yeah,
probably, that's probably even at best, but I thought the Tkachuk brothers won both their fights.
I think the Tkachuk brothers won both their fights, too, but Miller, I thought, got his ass kicked. But he was so much smaller. I mean, what are you going to do?
He was. Yeah. He was giving up some serious weight there.
And then I think the Charlie McAvoy hit got him going even more just a few minutes later on McDavid, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, because, McDavid is – you watch these guys play, and they're so fast. There's no slow guys on this, but he's just another gear. I mean, he's flying at 120 while everyone else is at 80 to 90, and to go shoulder to chest to him and knock him down the way he did, that sends a message. When you can't match speed for speed, you got to slow him down somehow, and Charlie is certainly a guy that can do that.
Yeah, teach that to the Bruins. I mean, if you can't match him with speed, you got to slow him down somehow. They've yet to figure it out. I'm a little surprised at how much this has captivated people's attention because it's obviously captivated non-traditional hockey fans' attention because the ratings were so good on Saturday night for the U.S.-Canada game. They've announced that they're going to do a World Cup now. Are you at all surprised at how much success this has been? How much of a success this has been?
No, because I think that a lot of people thought that this was going to be like an all-star game atmosphere, and every time we talked to the players in the lead up, McAvoy, Swayman, Marchand, they were adamant that this was not going to be your average all-star game. This was going to be best on best competition, and guys were going to feel the pride of slipping on their country sweaters. So the way they talked it up and the media surrounding it, I'm not too surprised. I think a lot of fans, maybe casual fans, flipped it on Saturday night thinking they were going to see, an exhibition type of game, and were surprised. So I think that's only can be a good thing for the NHL moving forward, because this is what an all-star competition should be. This is what, none of those sham games that the NBA puts on and the NFL puts on. Like, this is what you want, to see your best players play against the best best opponents and actually mean it and be into it.
How is Marchand? Marchand's been fun during this whole thing. I mean, there's audio of him in the locker room, almost fanboying out at, being on that Canadian team, as I know a big dream of his is to be on an Olympic team. What have you gotten out of not just Marchand, but the Bruins players that are involved in this tournament?
Yeah, Marchand's always great with us, and he he's a guy that gets it. I think you played that clip of John Cooper coming in, but I talked to Cooper last week, and he just looked at me and said, first he made fun of my Boston accent, but then he said that Marchand is the type of guy that will if I told him to go lie in traffic for me, he'd do it, and that's just kind of the way he is. And I think despite the fact that he might not be one of the top players on this team, he's like a heart and soul guy, and has embraced that role. And, he's a guy you want on your team all the time. I mean, whether he's playing on the third line or the fourth line, or he plays on the top line for the Bruins, he doesn't care. He just wants to go out there and win. And that's just such an admirable quality. McAvoy's been the same way. He's an alternate captain for this team. He's been front and center. His physical play the other night was awesome. And, I think, Sway, we haven't really talked to Sway much, but I'm interested to see if Mike Sullivan splits the net tonight between Ottinger and Swayman, just to get them in, knowing that they're already in the final. So interested to talk to Mike Sullivan this morning and find out.
All right, yeah, well, but there's some lesser Bruins that are around. They're not playing a lot. What do you think of the Bruins, the other guys, and people get a chance to see them maybe today?
Yeah, so Lindholm plays for Sweden, and he's kind of taken on the same type of role he's been with the Bruins the last month or so. Third line center, kind of tasked with the role of shutting down the other team's top line, and did a really good job against Canada. I know his offensive stats don't show up that much, but he has a really good 200-foot game. And, part of the reason that Sweden was able to get Canada to overtime in the opener on Wednesday was the play of Lindholm and his back checking and his playing his own end. So, he certainly hasn't put up the numbers for the Bruins or for Team Sweden that, maybe we had expected when he signed here, but he certainly fills that 200-foot role, 200-foot center role pretty well.
Jim, if it plays out and Canada advances today and to the championship game, what do you expect the atmosphere to be like? What do you expect Canada's response to be in that game as far as how they play and just everything that goes with Thursday night?
Yeah, I would expect a physical response from the Canadians. I don't think we're going to have 3 fights in 9 seconds, but I think they'll be ready to push back. The way the Americans kind of set the tone last week. I think you'll see a more physical game, but it'll be very exciting. I think this is what everyone wants to see. They want to see the U.S. Canada. They want to see a rematch. They probably wanted to see 2 games between those 2 countries even before this tournament started, because hell, it's in North America, right? These are the teams they want to see. So it'll be an electric atmosphere, and I think you'll see a physical response from the Canadians. But looking at this American team, they've got good size. They're not going to back down.
Do you think we ever see a return to an all-star game, or is this Four Nations going to be so popular that this is the odd-numbered year every 2 years they're going to be doing this?
I hope so. I hope we never see another all-star game again, because it's just not hockey, right? It's pond hockey, it's senior league hockey. It's not what you want to see when you see the best players in the world. So I would love to see this type of thing, World Cup, Olympics, and a lot of NHL players were disappointed that there's only Four Nations in the Four Nations, right? So I think maybe a little bit of an expanded version of that, maybe not a full-fledged World Cup, but this is the type of thing that the NHL should be putting on to get more fans. And to Fred's point, like, there's so much interest, right? And it's because of this, and it's not because of an all-star game. So you probably will see another all-star game because it does make money. But I would much rather see this, and I think most fans would much rather see this type of hockey than anything else.
Well, it makes money, but you've got more games here, right? I mean, you've got a lot more ticket revenue, I would imagine. I mean, just looking at the prices to get into any of these games in Montreal or Boston, you've got, 3 or 4 games up in Montreal. You got 3 games here, so you're 7 instead of 1 or 2 events.
Other Canadian market teams and U.S. market teams would want these games, right?
Right.
Split them, so you'd probably make money that way too.
As long as the NHL is making money and the NHLPA is happy, this type of thing can work. But shutting down the league for 2 weeks is never something that the owners like. That was kind of a major sticking point why they haven't been in the Olympics for so long. But if they can sort that out the way they have for the upcoming games and the upcoming World Cup, I think this it's a no-brainer to put on something like this.
Okay, so the Bruins eventually have to get back to playing hockey, and how many moves do you see happening? What are you hearing about the future of this team this season?
Yeah, I think that they're probably still in a buyer mentality right now, but these first 4 games coming out of the break are going to tell you a lot. Like if they show you something, if they show management something, then I think it's in Don Sweeney's nature to be a buyer at the deadline. He likes to add, he likes to trade. If they fall flat coming out of these first 4 games or so, then I think you're probably looking at more of a seller mode than anything, and not that they have a ton to deal, but at some point you got to realize that the playoffs might be out of reach because of the logjam in the Eastern Conference. I mean, they're not only are a team so close, there's just so many teams that are bunched up. So you have to get points and jump a bunch of teams. So not an easy task. So I think this first week coming out of the break is going to tell a lot for the fortunes of this club going forward.
Do you think there's any way that they trade Marchand?
I don't. I think you're sending a bad message if you do, especially to the locker room and to the younger guys that you're trading the heart and soul of this team. So I'd be surprised if they got a bundle for him, then maybe. But you got to remember he's on an expiring contract, so he's not going to. A player on an expiring contract is not going to bring back a lot anyway. So it's that's a bad PR hit if you're not going to get much and you're parting ways with Brad Marchand.
All right. Well, Jim McBride, it's a busy day for you. Do you have to be there for the Sweden-Finland game?
I'm going to go to the Americans morning skate over at BU, and then I'll be at the Garden for the American game tonight.
Yeah, you don't need to deal with that Finland-Sweden nonsense. Good for you. Yeah, who needs it?
All right. It's Canada, Finland.
Oh, Canada, Finland. I apologize. I apologize. It's Canada, Finland. But
my great colleague Kevin Dupont will be in the house for the Canada Finland game.
Well, who cares? All right. Well, look, Jim McBride. Everyone read his coverage in the Boston Globe. We always appreciate your time, sir.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
All right, Jimmy. You do the same.
Bye, Danny.
Oh boy. There you go. How many of these guys you hug when you see them?
Well, I love Jim. Good guy.
Okay. Yeah.
Why not, Fred? We're getting older. You know what? There's so much anger out there, the world, social media, everywhere else. If I see, hey, I love you. You know what I mean?
People don't give you grief on social media, do they?
Oh, yeah, they do. Just the fight, the night, hockey. How great a moment was that for hockey? Oh, they should be promoting physical violence to kids and everything else. Yeah, come on.
Well, that's a great point. My kids saw that. They immediately assault and battery charges.
Right. I'm looking for good stories, good things. Just like the Jack Smiley from Endicott. Great story. Talked to his mom right there, Debbie, the other day.
All right, Dan. What is the story of the guy from Endicott?
There's a player who was, as a freshman, played 3 games and got hit in the back of the head in practice, and it turns out he fractured vertebrae in his neck and went into his brain. He suffered a stroke, and it took him 3 years to get back. They said he might not ever walk again, what have you, and Jack went out and played on senior day for Endicott, his final game at Endicott. It was pretty cool. So his mom and dad were there, his family, his brothers. And went over, did a story with him on Thursday, and then the game was on Saturday. Went to the game Saturday, interviewed him afterwards. You know, it was good stuff, Fred. That's what, you talk about local TV. What does local TV do? We tell good stories now. That's what I do.
Are you going? Well, I never made fun of local TV. I
know. I was just saying,
I
that's
wish
what we
it's
do,
the
though.
best. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, are you going to go to any of my son's games this year?
I'd
is the
love
big
to.
question.
Yes, if you can get me a schedule, I'd love to meet you.
I'll get you a schedule.
Is he playing at PA at all?
Yes, I think they do.
All right.
Because they play a basketball game there, so I believe that they will. That's an ISL team, right?
No.
Oh, then I don't know.
Maybe Brooks. They might play at Brooks. We'll see.
Yeah, they play that ISL schedule.
Yeah, or I can come down to Groton. It's fine. Whatever you need, Freddie.
Because you live far as hell away.
Mm-hmm.
Because Phillips Andover is far, which is like it's almost equidistant as Groton.
Mm-hmm.
So you're 35 miles from here. And so when you go down into Brighton and into the city, that's a 40-mile drive for you.
Mm-hmm.
What about Andover so that you're willing to do that?
I was born and raised in North Andover, so the Merrimack Valley. I'm a Merrimack Valley guy.
Is it your walking
Ryan knows.
club? Is it your walking club?
My walking club. I love my walking club. I love everything about it.
Ryan, are you going to move closer to the city?
No plans to at this moment.
Now that you're so established.
Right. Maybe you get a condo because he's got so much money now for doing the Bruins.
Ah. We,
right? A house and a condo.
Live close to my wife's family. She grew up in Drake, where we live. So.
She was
These
a
all
meaty?
sound like awful reasons to live so far
Was she a
away.
meeting? Did she go to Drake High School? Nice.
Yeah. It's a nice, nice, quiet community. It's not terribly expensive to live up there.
Oh, I don't doubt it's a wonderful community. It's just very far away. How many miles are you from here?
It takes me 35 minutes door to door.
How many miles?
I don't know.
Okay.
Mileage-wise.
Oh, you don't use the.
Well, it takes like 20 minutes just to get to the highway from where I live. So.
Okay, so you're.
I take my time now too. So if it's a little longer, I don't care, Fred. I just try. I want to stay away from highway idiots. So I go back roads. I listen.
You're
to
afraid of the
music.
highway.
Listen, yeah.
You've developed an anxiety about.
I'm not an
driving on the
anxiety. I just
highway.
don't want to deal with it. you know?
Okay. Because what's fun is that Route 2.
Oh God.
I like that there's roundabouts on it. That's good.
I know.
Because
all of a sudden there's a stoplight in Concord or whatever.
Yeah, but
by
why?
Adams Place? What's the place you go? The Walden Park or
Walden
Ponds.
Yes.
But why would there be a
All the
roundabout?
weirdos.
Why won't they just put a light there? Why does there have to be a roundabout? That makes everything 1,000 times harder.
I know.
If you leave at the wrong time to go up there and you hit that roundabout, I'm not exaggerating that traffic's backed up a mile, like a legitimate mile at that roundabout. And it's something they should just destroy the roundabout and put in these new traffic lights. They even have them in
President's Day.
Yeah.
All right.
Come on, Fred. Everyone's in a good mood today. Be in a good mood with us.
I'm in a fine mood.
Good hockey today.
Ryan Johnston is here, which is great because he's got the Bruins job. We'll talk to him a little bit about that. Here are the headlines.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown were part of Team Shaq, who won last night's NBA All-Star game in the new 4-team mini-tournament format. Tatum 15 points in 11 minutes in the championship game. Steph Curry named the MVP. Celtics will return from break Thursday in Philadelphia. NHL's Four Nations face-off comes to TD Garden for a pair of games today. It'll be Canada against Finland at 1 p.m. If either team wins that game in regulation, they'll move on to the final. The U.S. has already qualified for Thursday's championship game, but they'll play Sweden tonight at 8 o'clock. First day of full-team workouts for the Red Sox today down at spring training. A report out of Baltimore says 7 more women have now accused Ravens kicker Justin Tucker of inappropriate behavior. That now makes 16 massage therapists who have come forward with those allegations against Tucker. He denies any wrongdoing. Headlines brought to you by Bentley University, where good business begins and leaders come to learn. I'm Ryan Johnston on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. More headlines at 8 o'clock.
More Dutcher and Hardy on the way on the Sports Hub. is the show for you. Toucher and Hardy, the Sports Hub.
4 to go. Pasternak tried to get it across. Score! It redirects past Bobrovsky. And the Bruins, with 1.2 to go in overtime, win it 4-3. Oh!
All right, we are Toucher and Hardy, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Ryan Johnston is here. Even though he's a big play-by-play voice of the Bruins, he's still willing on off days to come in and fill in. It's a lot of fun. He was here in 2023. He did 100 shows, and you take away weekends.
Dan brought me a cake.
You brought him a cake?
He was we co-hosted together for the 100th show, and he brought a cake with 100 shows on.
Well, you figure there's 250 shows a year if there was no vacation. And so let's say you take away 40 of them because of vacation. That leaves you with 210. You did, and probably less than that with holidays. So you did half the shows.
Pretty much, yeah.
In 2023.
Crazy.
Because of various circumstances going on. They had John doing all the Celtics games.
It was mostly you.
I had my throat. Well, yeah, I had my throat thing.
Yeah, it was you.
It was frightening, Daniel. I would like to see if your instrument was taken away from you, how you would handle it. But I do appreciate the things blaming me because I smoked cigarettes. As if at 48 years old, most people that smoke cigarettes have to stop talking for 5 weeks. But nonetheless, Ryan is now, and I told you when Ryan got the job and we announced it on the air, I said it's a great story. And I'm not being sarcastic, is because Ryan continued working when a lot of people would give up. So a lot of people you'll find if you're younger, they will start settling for jobs. The temptation to do so is great. Because when I first started wanting to work in radio, I didn't know how to get into it. And I remember I had friends making like $35,000 a year. And they were in, tech jobs or whatever. And they could like afford apartments and, like groceries and being... And I was like, this is like, and there's this, and I didn't know what I was doing. And I couldn't get a job. And stations in Lansing, Michigan were telling me that I could never work in radio. There was a lot of, I remember I cried to my parents, and there's this great temptation to just settle. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. You build a family and everything else, and then you can live a good life that way. I'm not saying that that's the way to go, but there is something to sticking to it. So Ryan, worked, lesser radio jobs. He, filled in here. He ate a bunch of crap and did play-by-play all over the country for these, minor league teams. And then eventually, when after a lot of people would have given up, was given his dream job, which is doing the Bruins game. So, Ryan, take us through, say you're flying out to, I don't know, to Detroit, for instance. Like you're flying to Detroit. Take it. So you go out to the private airport, and what happens from there?
Board the plane. Go through a minimal security check. Board the plane. We go. I mean, it's like you said. We're flying private, so it's. I mean,
board the plane where?
Out at Hanscom.
Yep.
And so you fly out. I mean,
you park right by the plane.
You park essentially, right outside the gate. Walk onto the plane.
Is there food waiting for you on the plane?
There is a ton of food on the plane. I mean, they've got like an appetizer platter set up when you're just getting on the plane. They've got multiple options from usually some sort of chicken, some sort of beef, some sort of salmon, something like that, or a salad or whatever you'd like. And that's for a 45-minute trip to Detroit, let alone a cross-country flight. You get off the plane, the buses pull up right next to the plane, you walk off, get right on the bus, you drive to a 5-star hotel, check in there, and generally, you have the night to do whatever you want.
And your check-in is just picking up a room key, right?
We have to stop the media. We have to stop by the desk because the company pays for ours, and instead of the team. So we have to stop by and put the corporate credit card down. Spend an extra 10 or 15 minutes checking in. But then you've got the night to do with whatever you want. Get up in the morning, go to morning skate, come back, take a little nap, get some lunch.
Now, do you guys hang out together, like you and Beers and like the TV guys, or?
Not too much. I mean, everybody kind of does their own thing. Depends on where you are or whatever. But I like to tend to go explore the city a little bit if I have the opportunity, see what the local food scene looks like or whatever. But we don't get together too much on the road, but everybody kind of does something different.
Okay, so you fly in and you spend the night, and then you get up and you go to do you have to go to the morning skate?
Go to morning skate, check out what the lines look like. Talk to Joe Sacco. Talk to some of the players in the locker room after morning skate usually. And
do you and Beersy alternate the coaches show?
Yes.
Now, do you feel like you have a good relationship with the players now? Do they know you, or are you kind of removed from them?
We're kind of kept a little bit at arm's length, but they know. Obviously, I've had a chance to meet and chat with all of them at some point, so they know who you are. We're not going out together on the road or anything like that. Get it. But it's
hockey people are good people. That's the other part too.
Very easy to deal with.
Well, when I took the trip to Toronto and Montreal, the Bruins were playing in Toronto, and I was friends with Krug, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm going to this bar," and he's like, "Are you out of your mind, dude?" He's like, "I can't go to." He's like, "Everyone will know who I am." I'm like, how the hell will anyone know who you are? This is literally the conversation we had. He's like, "I know. But Toronto, they know who you are." And and I'm like, Torrey Krug? And he's like, yeah. And so, are there people by the hotel? Are there people, are there
autograph seekers?
Autograph seekers or women or hangers on or stuff?
I don't see too many women. A lot of guys who look like they were out there a lot. Who are trying to get autographs, and there will always be a few kids there who are looking to
making $50 an hour.
Marchand or Pasternak, they got the Bruins jersey on. They're actual fans, and there are usually at least a few guys who are have the scrapbooks full of cards, and they're looking to get 12 cards signed so they can get them up on eBay.
Have you been to Calgary yet?
Yes.
Have you gone to that bar where they pay the women with breast implants?
I'm not sure where that is.
Oh, well, there were people that used to work for the organization that couldn't speak highly enough about it.
It was about 100 below when we were in Calgary. Now we got to spend multiple days there.
Now, I would imagine but when you're in Canada, they know where the players are staying, and they're staying in a nice hotel, and that women would be at the hotel bar at least. There would be some kind of scene like that.
I think that's changed, though, don't you?
I don't know. The Four Seasons in Atlanta was very high-end prostitutes, I was told. Because I was like, why are all these beautiful women alone? And they're like, oh, they're prostitutes. But these would be more like women, not prostitutes, but women wanting to meet a hockey player. Hockey player, comes down to the hotel bar, da-da-da-da, can you buy me a drink? Next thing you know, you're sleeping with a hockey player. I got to imagine in Canada, at least, that's a big deal.
I feel like the hotels try to, weed out the non-guests from the lobby and from the bar.
Well,
when teams are there.
What a change! What a change for you! And now you're living the high life, Ryan. It's great to see. All right. Well, look, we're very late, but it is a holiday, and since Wallach Nor Hardy are here, it is time to attempt to do Shoot in the Breeze, which is what people just call in. Dan, you like it. It's like being on the front. It's like being at a Dunkin' at 5:30 in the morning.
Yep.
You're just sitting, you're holding court.
We also have to talk to Ryan down the road, besides Shooting the Breeze, about what he did in his time off.
We're slotting that in on. You guys will be together again on
Wednesday.
Wednesday. We'll slot it in.
Ryan,
I will not be here. I'm here Monday and Tuesday.
All right.
Perhaps later on.
All right. 617-779-0985. If we don't get any calls because of the holiday, we can obviously let you go off about Disney. Dan, there's no question about it. 617-779-0985. It's up to your calls. I will not be offended if we don't get any. But you can talk about anything. But if you don't want to do that, Dan is chomping at the bit to talk to Ryan because Ryan was at Disney. And that is what Dan loves more than anything, even baseball. All right, we will be back in just a moment.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
First full day of team workouts down at Red Sox spring training. New signing Alex Bregman met the media for the first time yesterday and said Dustin Pedroia was a big part of recruiting him to sign in Boston. Yankees say Giancarlo Stanton is dealing with elbow soreness, may not be ready in time for opening day. The Daytona 500, William Byron, your winner, and Ludwig Oberg was the winner of the PGA Genesis Invitational at Torrey Pines yesterday. Headlines brought to you by NetSuite by Oracle. Companies of all sizes have grown profitably with NetSuite by Oracle, the #1 cloud ERP. Streamline your accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR into one fluid platform. Learn more at netsuite.com/Celtics. I'm Ryan Johnston on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. More headlines in around 30 minutes.
Here we go.
Boom. I win. Boom.
Yeah.
Hit somebody. Oh.
We've got a passion for Boston sports.
Get angry.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
It's called rising and grinding.
Start your
Got
day.
your finger on the pulse, Fred.
Begin your
Seldom
day
right and never wrong.
right here. Is that toucher or is that target?
Kinda looks like a poodle. It's an effing poodle, dumbass.
The sport.
No one wants any fussing in a fight. People just want whatever happened to like a small town, New England town, just getting out there and having a walking club or doing something like Dan does.
Or the
right?
senior man in action is what I do now too.
What's that?
That's we go to this gym in North Reading, IPF, and a group of like 10 of us, 10 guys, all like in their 50s, what have you, and we put in a good 75-minute workout, 90-minute workout. So it's good.
Like weights and cardio and
Weights,
stuff?
cardio, and everything else.
Why
yeah.
do you do it together?
It's just as a group. We just do different
Motivation.
things. Yeah, exactly.
Do you
I like being
spot
on a
guys?
team.
Do you spot for guys?
I don't. I'm not that strong.
So it's worthless. All right.
Again,
But
something good in my life.
but
You're like, it's worthless. I
but
could never be married to you.
Not in some states. We could be married, Dan. I would service you as much as you wanted.
All right, let's get this uncomfortableness over with. Go ahead.
All right. Ryan and Dan, feel free to step in. We will start with Tom. Tom, go ahead.
Ready, T. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. Thank you.
Good. Dan, Ryan, welcome.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. Happy first full squad workout day.
Thanks. I was calling mostly for Fred. There's been a little edge you've had the last couple of weeks, Fred, and to be perfectly honest, I'm a little bit worried about you.
Now, why is that?
Well, you've been a little angrier than usual, going off on Belichick. I'm not a Belichick guy. I don't care about him. But it just seems like, I don't know, you've had a little edge that hasn't been there before, and I just want to let you know that we're here to look out for you.
Well, thank you. Now, I will not apologize for my Belichick stuff. It doesn't make me angry. It makes me, as a matter of fact, Tom, extraordinarily happy. I find it to be absolutely hysterical. I think that anyone who, and you're not saying this, you just think that I'm angry about it, but anyone who has this is not directed to you again, Tom, but anyone who has a problem with me talking about it or is devising reasons why I'm talking about it is upset, is just upset about Bill being made fun of because they like him because he won a bunch of Super Bowls. There is not a scenario where him with that woman and the way that she's taken over his finances, I mean, it just gets funnier and funnier and funnier.
Do you look at it as an aspirational thing, though?
No.
So, like 25 years from now, you wouldn't want to be dating a 25-year-old?
I would. I'm sure. Listen, having sex with women is great and fun. That is not the issue. The issue is that it's Belichick handing his life over to the woman that he had sex with. No. I would never in a million years when I'm 70 marry a 25-year-old. Are you crazy? I wouldn't do it now, most likely. No, the worst thing is, like, you're jealous of Belichick. You don't get it, you idiots. First off, you don't think I could have sex with a 25-year-old. You're out of your mind. I have a lot of money, okay? I could have plenty of sex with 25-year-olds. You're crazy. But second of all, no, it's not the sex part that's funny. It started with the Ring camera, which was hysterical. It's the juxtaposition of the way he acted while he was here, and now he's just another old guy handing his money over to some girl because she had sex with him. It's great and funny, and it gets funnier. She was in the Dunkin' Donuts Super Bowl ad, for Christ's sakes. And then that Pablo Torres did an investigation, and apparently she's acting as a de facto agent now. It's great. I will go no further with it, but that is, I'm not apologizing for it.
You're just on edge.
I mean, Adam, do I seem at all angry?
He doesn't come off as angry when you, because I listen and watch the show on a regular basis. You don't come across as angry about that.
A little irritable. Dude, your ankle's all messed up. That's
no,
why,
it's not.
Well, it was. So if this guy is noticing that, a little bit of edge, it's probably from that. When I'm uncomfortable, it comes out, in other ways.
That's odd that I seem irritable.
As
I've been
Fred
having a good time.
As Fred pointed out, I spent over 100 days on this show not that long ago, and I've seen Fred irritable.
Yeah.
It is not. This is not irritable.
I've known Fred and been friends with Fred. We all have for a long, long time. And yes, like Fred is on a different plateau now. So I think when you notice a slight uptick, it probably presents as a lot more.
Yeah, I can tell you this is, in all honesty, the last year of my life has been one of the happiest years of my life.
Not sure.
So I have a show to do.
In comparison to you, everybody's irritable.
Fred is so easy to get.
And I also have a show to do.
I love you. You're just so easy.
There is a certain level of it. Again, I don't act like this off the air.
Every time I've gone to dinner with you, spent hours with you, you're angry all the time.
Well, I mean, we're always debating about politics. You're such a Trump guy. It's very hard to talk to you.
Shooting the breeze.
All right. Bob, go ahead.
Hey, guys. Hey, good morning.
Hey.
I think Cecily Strong's character of the girl who you wouldn't want to talk to at a party, getting together with Bobby Monahan's drunk uncle and having a baby together, that's just, the future's looking bright.
All right, so was this a desk piece last night? What happened?
Yeah, it was. I think the funniest part of the show was drunk uncle showed up at the update desk with Cecily Strong's character.
Okay. Yeah, I did not see that part. I'm going to have to go back and watch it. How long was the Saturday Night Live thing last night?
3 hours.
Yeah.
I cashed out at 11 o'clock. I couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah, they had
it was C+, but it wasn't the greatest thing ever.
Well, the sketches I saw weren't good, but I don't blame them. They had to shoehorn a ton of people in. I saw the sketch where Kristen Wiig is the lady with the small hands, and that
Denise.
Yeah, and then Farrell was in it. Like it seemed like it wasn't going anywhere. And I saw when Amy Poehler and Tina Fey were on stage, and they had to, there were so many celebrities in the audience. The funniest thing was Ryan Reynolds. They go, "How you doing?" And he goes, "Why? Have you heard something?" That was the funniest part to me. Was that Ryan Reynolds, who's, of course, his wife is embroiled in this thing that makes everyone look terrible, including him. He's apparently very controlling, if you go by that. All right, this is always fun. Brian.
Just stop by to chat, shoot the breeze.
All right, Brian, go ahead and talk to Dan Roche. He's here.
Hey, good morning, Dan. If we can go back in the Wayback Machine to 22 years old when you lost your virginity, would you prefer to lose it in Magic Kingdom on either Carousel of Progress or the People Mover?
What's Carousel of Progress?
That's in Epcot.
Would you rather lose
they're both in Tomorrowland.
Oh, Carousel of Progress. Yeah, I don't like either one of those.
Have you ever even fondled someone on a ride?
Really, Fred? No.
Like, have you ever gone into Small World and said it's dark in here? Like, let me touch your breasts?
Oh, yeah. No.
Have you ever?
Don't bring me down.
Have you ever feigned being sick, Dan, at Disney, and then when the family left the hotel room, you just used that time to masturbate? Like maybe you saw Snow White, the character, and you said, "I'm going to keep this in my memory."
Shooting the breeze about philosophy, the Italians, my Uncle Eckley.
Ben, you're on. Go ahead, Ben. We're shooting
Ready,
the breeze.
Baby.
Hey, Benjamin, how you doing, buddy?
YouTube and Twitch Nation. We love you, Fred, as always. It's a beautiful show this morning. 39 days, Mr. Dan Roche, until you see a little baseball action in the Woo. Are you going to come and hang out with us in Worcester?
I'd love to, yes.
You love Polar Park.
I love Polar Park.
Like
it's fantastic. You can sit anywhere in the park. And then you can also get up and roam around the entire, you can go the whole circuit.
Ben, he interrupted you. I apologize.
Sorry, Ben. Go ahead.
His manner.
Yes.
Dan, would you like to be the junior announcer one day? Well, maybe the senior announcer.
Play ball.
One inning. You get all excited.
Now, what does that mean? The junior announcer, like you announce play ball?
He would announce the players as they come up from the Worcester dugout.
Oh, have you ever done that, Dan?
I did PA at Fenway Park one time. That was fun.
How much do they pay for that? I don't
know.
Curious.
I didn't get paid for it.
I heard it was $50.
Yeah, a long time ago it might have been.
You think it's more now?
Probably, yeah.
$100 then.
I don't know.
It can't be more than that.
I'd do it for nothing. I'd pay to do it, Freddie.
You would go to 82 games and make yourself go. Well, first of all, you couldn't.
If you could retire, what would you do? Type of thing. That would be one of them. My dream would be be the PA voice of the Chatham Anglers and have a house down there, and then be the PA voice of spring training, Fort Myers, and have a house down there. That would be my dream retirement.
You'd want a house in Fort Myers.
A little condo, play some golf, and be the PA voice of the Sox.
One of the worst places in Florida.
Yeah,
that's
but
where you want
to
be.
Fred, it's spring training.
Yeah, but you're far away from all the other facilities.
If I was down there this morning, 6 a.m. you're up. 7 o'clock, you leave with your photographer. You stop at Dunkin', get a coffee and a breakfast sandwich. 8 o'clock, the clubhouse opens. 9 o'clock, they're out on the field stretching, warming up. 9:30, 2-hour workout. 11:30, you talk to Cora on the bench, and then you do a couple one-on-ones with players.
I understand you're there. But
and
if
it's just a great day. I could do that every day.
Wouldn't you rather be on the east coast of Florida, though? Because, A, it's better, and B, you would be around a bunch of spring training facilities.
Yeah, no, I like that. But no, this would be, if I was to do a job, it would be the voice of the Red Sox, the PA voice of the Red Sox.
Would you rather have season tickets to the Red Sox or be the voice of the Red Sox?
Be the voice of the Red Sox. PA voice, yeah.
You'd rather have to be there in work.
Yeah, because then you're involved and it feels like you're part of the team and everything else. Yeah.
You would feel like you were a part of the team if you were doing that?
Keeping score and PA voice, now batting, Fred Toucher.
Do you think another player would
Toucher?
Do you think another player would hand you a ball and claim it was a home run ball and be blatantly lying to you?
Me down. It was.
Now, what player
Luis
was it?
Alicea.
Yeah.
Hit it on 1995. My son was born. I looked up and presented and said, "This is baseball," on the TV like that one in front of us. And there was Alicea hitting a home run.
Yeah, and then he just gave you some ball. And
so when I got back to Boston, he said, I still have that ball. Someone gave it to me.
Yeah,
He signed the ball to my son.
What time of year was it that he hit
May.
the home run? So do you think a lot of times that the staff from the Red Sox will go into the crowd and they'll go, "Can you give me the ball that Luis Alicea hit in May?"
No, maybe some fan did, though,
How would they have seen Luis Alicea?
I don't know. I just maybe it wasn't true, but it just kind of felt good. That he did that gesture.
Yeah, but I don't want you feeling good.
I know you don't. See, that's all part of it.
Louis Alicea only hit 47 home runs in the big league, so maybe he kept most of them.
How many he hit that year, do you know?
What year was it?
1995.
95? He had 6.
See?
Tied his career high.
All right. Dylan, go ahead, sir. You may begin shooting the breeze.
Freddie T, I've wanted to call for a couple of years about these two topics. One, I have a similar college story about like a guy and a girl, like Zach Wilson looking like his mom. And then the other the other one is I was neighbors with the Tomato Man in the South End for like 3 years, and I got to know him pretty good.
Oh, with Matt Schaefer, the best guy to ever do a community affairs show ever.
Yes, he lived in the same brownstone as me. He was my downstairs neighbor.
Tomatoes.
And you know who else? With the Kennedys were also neighbors of you guys. Now, was Matt Schaefer, did he big time you because he was such a star?
Nope, but he would cook some food and leave it outside my door once in a while. He is actually a pretty good cook. He makes some decent food.
Well, I would imagine he's into food considering he used community affairs programming to talk to people that made food.
Let's talk about cheese.
All right.
I have never seen any of the articles, but apparently he was a Boston Globe food critic.
Ooh.
Right now, we're in the peak of New England's harvest season.
In college, I was dating this girl, and she said her brother was coming for the weekend. And I was like, all right, cool, I'll meet your brother. And she never told me it was her twin brother. And after her twin brother hung out for the weekend, come Monday, I couldn't sleep with her anymore because all I could see was her brother.
Yeah.
So I had to end it.
Yeah, there was a girl when I was like a freshman in high school that was super, super hot, and I was pursuing her. I never really, it was a cat and mouse game. And then someone informed me she looked exactly like Sebastian Bach from Skid Row, and that threw a whole wrench into it. So maybe I saved myself some embarrassment. So
No, that's totally doable. I'd do that.
Yeah, I know. Sebastian Bach was beautiful. There's no question. All right. Thank you, Dylan. We appreciate it.
It's shooting the breeze.
All right. Is there anything you'd like to add?
No, all good.
All right. Well, look, thank you all. We couldn't get to all the calls.
Feel like shooting the breeze?
I am curious why I seem angrier. I'm really in a good place. I don't know why I seem angrier. That's interesting. I'll have to go back and
I don't
listen.
think you are, Fred. I think you seem happy. I'm happy for you.
I would. My mom thinks I seem happy.
Well,
my mom is thrilled. She watches. She even likes when I make fun of her.
Awesome.
So
now you just got to get a gal, right? Is that the thing?
I'm doing all right. Don't worry.
Oh, okay.
I'm doing fine, Danny.
All right.
Don't worry about it. We're enjoying the time right now.
Good.
We're not getting too crazy. We're
Good.
enjoying the time. I was with this one person for a very, very long time. It's nice to meet new people and have conversations and things of that nature. But thank you, Danny.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate it. If you want to set me up with someone from your walking club, I'm more than, I know you have a bunch of widowers that you are friends with. So, someone lost their husband recently and they need a guy.
Well, really, that's very cold.
You don't want them to have companionship?
No,
all right,
not
Dan.
yet.
If you're in the walking club, just know this. Dan doesn't want you to ever feel love again. Nice. All right, so we'll be back in just a moment. Dan's here, and we got to let him loose. There's so much going on with the Red Sox. Everything is starting up. We will give him the floor. That's why you have Dan here.
You can go home.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I will. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
fan, but make sure you bring the Sports Hub app with you so you can hear more of Todger and Hardy
That's what I want on my tombstone.
on the Sports Hub.
My favorite player, Dustin Pedroia, did. He reached out a few times this offseason and talked to me about how special it was to be a part of the Boston Red Sox. And it was pretty cool to talk to him as well as so many other former players here in Boston and current players on the team as well. It was great.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy, Ryan Johnston and Dan Roche. So it's been a fun morning. Dan, we've already gone over you're asking you one uncomfortable sexual question, so that's over for the day. But look for one a day while you fill in. Just your silence is amazing. But listen, in all seriousness, we haven't covered this a lot. Do you find this with baseball, like, because your kid played a lot and you're around it all the time, that it's hard to get too worked up about things because you know intimately how long the season is and how long the process is? It's hard. I know you enjoy it, and so do I.
Right.
It's my favorite game, but like getting like super excited about like
I like the more the traditions of it,
right,
and
but
getting all pumped into the season itself,
because
right?
you can. There are fans of the Red Sox that care far more about the outcome of
the
regular
day-to-day
season
outcome,
games
yes.
than it would be healthy for the players or the manager to. Because the thing about managing 162 games or playing 162 games is the rate of failure is very, very high. So if it's part of the great lesson of baseball is the amount of failure is so high that you
got to stay even
pitch,
keel, right?
Like if you're a pitcher, pitch by pitch, like you got to regroup. You allow 3 runs in the first inning, you got to try to get through. Right. You got to try to get through. 4 or 5 more innings just to save the bullpen. Like you got to calm yourself down. You're a hitter. You go over for a couple days. You can't sink into
get
these
in your own
holes,
head.
right? And if you're a manager, as you know, and after a 4-game series, you were like screaming and yelling at the team. That message would die immediately.
You're not going to be a manager for long.
You're not going to be a manager for long. So it is hard to get. But listen, it is good news. We played. You don't have to play it again, but we played Scott Boras talking about how this is the biggest thing that came out of the Bregman signing is that Scott Boras was saying that John Henry is back interested to win. Now, these are big things that mean that things could improve over the course of a season. So the Bregman signing, I can see he's excited. They need a right-handed bat. He's a good player. Where do you think he is now in his career, and what does this speak to you about the Red Sox going into this season?
I think he has a chance to be very good this year. So let's say it's a 1-year deal at $40 million, which I think he'd be nuts to maybe not take the next. But I think everything with this signing fits. You know what I mean? You look at a team and you say, what does this team need? It was pretty obvious to everybody is that they needed a right-handed bat. Nolan Arenado wouldn't work. You know what I mean? He's 3 years older.
He's not good.
Yeah. And it's just, he's at third base, what have you. I think, we'll see what happens, but I think you slot Bregman in to play second base. I think he'll be fine. And I say that because I think that Alex wants to have Rafael Devers just say, listen, go out and play a great third base, show me what you can be, and it allows him to not think as much. As you mentioned a few minutes ago, Fred, it's hard not to think about failure when you're a baseball player, and I think at that age, you don't want to be a full-time DH. Right now, if you're Rafi Devers and you just signed that $10 million year, $10 million 10-year contract, so I think that he fits everything about it, and you look at their lineup, whether he bats second or third or what have you, he's just a perfect complement to all their left-handed hitters. And he's got a winning resume. He's won high school state championship. They were in NCAA regionals, and I think that the College World Series at LSU in Houston. 8 out of the 9 years he was there, they made the postseason, won 2 World Series championships, and he's got that Dustin Pedroia. Everyone says baseball rat in him, that he just loves the game. But talking to a friend of mine, Todd Callis, who's the play-by-play guy for the Astros. And he was just saying that he's the kind of guy that will call guys at 2 o'clock in the morning to talk baseball, something he sees, something that he knows. And he's also already next to Christian Campbell with his locker. And Alex Cora was saying he's already talking to those guys, watching those guys, trying to help those guys. I think it's the perfect signing for this team right now. And I think what it also does by having him come to an agreement, it gives the fans, every Red Sox fan should wake up today and feel better about their baseball team. If you're a true fan of the team and of the game, this is the perfect signing for this ball club right now, where they're at with what's happened the last several years, the appearance of, and not caring if you're the ownership. Everything sends a message here to Alex Cora all the way through that they did what they wanted to accomplish in the offseason. They got 2 starters in Buehler and Crochet, and now they have that right-handed bat to go with all these kids, the prospects of all these kids, the Meyer, the Christian Campbell, and the Roman Anthony. It's all positive right now as you start off spring training. So this is what Red Sox fans needed, and if you're not, then you're just too cynical to me to be a Red Sox fan.
All right, what is the timetable on the kids? They have
Christian Campbell could make the team, and I think that's why Alex has been hesitant to say he's going to be your everyday second baseman. If Christian Campbell comes in and he rose rapidly through the farm system last year, if he comes in and has a great spring, there's a possibility he could be your starting second baseman on opening day.
Okay, so then
let's say he's not. Let's say he's not. What is it? You were just talking about Devers going out and just go ahead and concentrate on playing a great third base. He's not a great third baseman.
But I think
you have the defending Gold Glove third baseman that you just signed, and you're going to put him in a position he doesn't play.
I don't argue that. I don't argue that at all. But I think knowing Alex and the way that he tries to motivate each and every player differently, I think with Devers, remember, call it 2018 or what have you, he would say, hey, if you come up with this, you do well this, I'll buy you a gift card to Chipotle or something like that. You know what I mean? It was just little things that he does on an everyday basis. I think that maybe he has a good read on Rafi Devers and what he needs to be a good ball player, and you need him to be a great ball player on this team. And I think it's my gut feeling telling me that he may evolve into the DH as the season goes on. But to start the season, I kind of think Alex wants to have Rafi be a leader on the field, in the game, and not just a full-time DH.
To me, a leader does what's best for the team, and what's best for the team is Bregman plays third.
Right, but every player is different, right? Every personality is different. You know that in the Bruins locker room. You just treat different guys differently. You just have to. And whether or not, I might be wrong on this, but I just think that that's the way maybe he goes about treating Rafi Devers and starting up. But Christian Campbell could make the team, and then we'll see what happens. Roman Anthony, I'm curious to see what happens with him. Do they do the month and they get an extra year? The whole
you got to right
contract, right? Yeah. So, but. I mean, they're right there, so it's a good thing. And they have depth, too. Now that they have Bregman, they have depth to do things. If Trevor Story goes down, he's played 163 games in the last 3 years. If he goes down with an injury, then you move Bregman temporarily. You can mix and match and do things like that,
Did Bregman
too.
come
Campbell
up as a third
there.
baseman? He didn't come up as a third baseman, right?
He came up as a shortstop, I believe.
Okay. Because third, I was under the assumption they had moved him to third at some point in his career. Now, he is a Gold Glove third baseman, which Devers is not.
Right.
But so say a prospect comes up and he ends up, Roman Anthony comes up, he ends up playing, or not Roman Anthony. The kid
Christian
comes up.
Campbell.
Christian Campbell, sorry. They have 3 of the top 10 prospects. It's a little difficult to juggle, or 2 at least. That Meyer is.
He just needs to stay healthy.
And we'll see.
Get his confidence going.
We'll see. But but say that they do find a kid that has to play second base. Then you DH Devers. That's what you do.
Probably. You know what I mean? Or yes, because then you got to move Bregman to third if he's that good. If Campbell's that good, and so far he's been that good last year, especially on every level, then maybe you do. Makes a match, and then you trade Yoshida, right? And that's kind of one of those things that you would look into.
Well, do you think that they should trade a couple of these prospects, high-end prospects?
It depends on what you get, though. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I'd be very hesitant to trade either Campbell or Roman Anthony right now.
No, I wouldn't trade either of them. I would trade Meyer. I would have traded Meyer a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
but
I just think that they see a lot in him, and again, they're just trying to get him healthy.
It's just one of these things.
Let him prove them wrong.
Yeah, it's just I don't even know.
And I don't disagree with you, Fred.
Because if he doesn't develop into a
everyday shortstop,
no,
right?
and occasional all-star, he has to be more than an everyday major leaguer with the way that he has been talked about. He's been passed by quite a few people given his position after the draft in the system. So, like, he's been passed. I think that as an asset, he's been misused if he just becomes your everyday shortstop for 6 years. I just think that that's a misused asset because there's a point, you're a big market team, and there was a point where you could have moved him. I love what they did for Crochet. That's what I thought they should have done.
Yep.
I like him better than any of the free agent pitchers. I love that move for the Red Sox. He's a big, huge kid, left-hander.
And you got to give up something. You gave up Kyle Teal, right?
Yeah, right, exactly. And so, like, you have such a surplus of prospects, and you're not a team that's going to, shove them all in and see how it goes. Because now
you don't have to be.
Because now you've reestablished yourself as a big market team. I think as assets, the best way to use them is to strike while there's still some value there. Because Dan, not all these kids are going to end up being good Major League Baseball players.
I think so many people have seen when he's healthy great things from Meyer, and he's only 22.
Well, there's a reason.
Right,
Meyer's such a big deal
overall.
Yeah,
right?
And he could have been first.
Yes.
I mean, that's what the big thing with Meyer coming out is that he really probably should have been the first pick in the draft. But he's a prep kid and everything else. Like people, the smaller teams, they like the college guys. It's more of a sure thing. But you know how it is when you have this many. Once you build your farm system to this, and you're a big market team, you should start turning those assets into established Major League players. But very quickly, 2 seconds, they got to do something about this salary cap.
Totally agree. I've agreed with that with years, Fred, mostly because teams like Pittsburgh have stolen money, right? They come up with a floor. I want a floor. That's what I want.
A floor, and then there's got to be a cap, and I'll tell you why there's going to be. The Yankees are pissed. The Yankees now are pissed. The Yankees are pissed at the Dodgers.
Tough. They did it for years.
Yeah, but for the health of the game, there's got to be a salary cap. And you can't defer money like this. This is stealing money.
A floor would help that.
A floor is fine
because you got to spend money.
Look, Pittsburgh just signed a non-internal free agent for the first time in like 15 years. I agree. Like teams like Pittsburgh are just saving money, but the idea that you can hoard every huge free agent and then defer the money 30 years is ridiculous and awful for the game. Because I got news for you: if the game is all LA-based teams and Northeastern teams, that's a big you're turning into hockey. That's a big ass chunk of this country that's not going to care at all. If those teams don't stand a chance, like every 10 years, if they get every draft right. Like there's an opportunity where they have a 2-year window where they can make a deal at the deadline for a guy with an expiring contract. Well, people stop caring. I mean, St. Louis is a team that, second most World Series of all time. And, some of those very recently. And they've thrown their hands in the air. I mean, it's ridiculous. So they got to do something about that. All right, listen, your wish will come true. You and Ryan can have your chat. Dan's got a big boner about Ryan's recent trip, and we can talk about that in just a moment. Here are the headlines. Yes, Dan Roche is here. And Dan Roche is a adult that goes to Disney World. He even without his kids, he loves it.
I think there's two of us in the room when that happens.
There is. So we have a meeting before the show every day about what's going on, and Dan was like a wet cat. He couldn't stop going back. That Ryan had recently visited with his wonderful wife. He'd recently visited Disney World.
Fred, I ran into Roche at Warrior for a morning skate the other day, and he's like, "Oh, what are you doing during the break?" And I said, "I'm going to Disney." Dan could not have been more excited.
You know when a dog makes that?
Yeah.
That pose?
What kind of was he giving you some advice?
Oh yeah, where are you staying? You know, it's like told me a good place to go for breakfast near the hotel we were staying at. We did not. We don't really do breakfast, so.
Yeah, neither do I. It's a good man. I'm not waiting in line for breakfast. It's all the same.
Make a reservation.
Okay.
It's all part of the magic.
Do you go to the character breakfast?
No, not anymore. Although I used to like them a lot.
You did?
Yeah, they were fun.
Are you a hugger with the mascots?
Yeah, picture taken, you know?
So if you're just with other adults, you'll take
What's
your
up,
picture.
Tigger?
Watch yourself. So when you put your this isn't off air like you usually go. No, I'm just kidding. So so if you're with other adults, you'll put your arm around like Mickey or something and get a picture taken.
No, not really. You know, it used to be more so with the kids.
Well, yeah, but that's kids.
Yeah.
So
if it's Buzz Lightyear or something, yeah, maybe. Thumbs up.
So you do get excited when you see the characters?
Yeah, why not?
Well, because
because I'm an adult. Because
the characters
you know? All right.
are might as well be homeless. They're just walking around in costumes all day.
It's not Times Square Elmo you're dealing with. You know?
Thank you. Right?
You can smell them from a block away.
I have to think
Will Ferrell
there's a hierarchy of characters. Is that the like women that play the people not in like a full body costume,
right?
That have to be attractive in like like Snow White or Cinderella. I would imagine that's the highest echelon of pay and everything else. But you can put any idiot in a what do you say, Tigger? A Tigger costume, and right, like I don't think that's an entree into show business. I think that's more that they just found a guy.
Yeah.
Now, do you go to Disney a lot, Ryan?
No, my wife and I actually did our honeymoon there.
Okay.
And then
we did too.
When I got this job, we haven't done too many vacations in recent years. When I got this job, I said one of the things we're going to do is we're going to take some vacations because we got making some more money and we're going to have some time off and all that. So I said we got 2 weeks off in February. Where do you want to go? And she said, let's go to Disney. I said, okay.
All right.
Went to Disney.
And
where'd they stay? Great place to stay.
The Dolphin Hotel.
Yeah. Right? It's on the boardwalk. You wake up every morning. You can walk around the boardwalk, go get a cup of coffee over at the bakery, by the boardwalk hotel.
Centrally located, right near
perfect.
Epcot, right
Walk
near
to
Hollywood
Epcot,
Studios.
Take the boat to Hollywood Studios. It's great.
So, Dan, what was the advice that you gave him other than the breakfast place?
I don't think that was it, right?
That was pretty, yeah.
Yeah, it was just I was more excited for him than anything.
Yeah. Did you get jazzed up? You like when other people are going to do that?
How were your days? Everything good? What time did you get up? Where'd you go? What parks did you go to?
We get going.
What rides did you go on?
Get going early in the morning.
Nice.
We got over to Hollywood Studios. We got more accomplished in the first 90 minutes that Hollywood Studios was open than most people did all day because we beat the crowds. We got you're staying at a Disney resort. You can get in a half hour early, get on some of the rides.
Did you make
before
a
the lines
reservation for one ride and then go to the other?
So
like Slinky Dog Dash, and then you go over to the Star Tours?
There was only 2 rides where you had to make pre-reservations. One of them is one of the Star Wars rides, and then the other one is like what used to be Splash Mountain.
Yes,
which cracks me up. You have to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning, get on your phone, and join the virtual queue. And if you're not on there in the first 30 seconds, you don't get to ride the ride that day.
Really?
Yeah. So I was setting my alarm for 6:55 every morning to get up, and if you want to get on that Star Wars ride, you've got to be up at 7 a.m. to do it.
Jesus Christ, the two of you.
It was worth it though.
Yeah. See, it's a good day.
That's a damn.
How
good
was
ride.
the new Tiara ride? It was same.
Fine. It's the same ride. It's just
Did you go on the?
You weren't satisfied with that, huh? You don't like that ride?
The fact that they changed it. Come on. It's like whatever. Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians in the Galaxy is
Did you go on
a great ride.
I was duped into that by my nephew and his wife. Yeah, you'll love it. It's the greatest ride. My daughter and I went on. I got sick as a dog. I had to stop. I had to sit on the bench for half an hour. Then we had to walk to the hotel. I had to buy a sleeve of Ritz crackers and a ginger ale and sit by the pool for an hour until I felt normal again.
Have you ever vomited on someone?
No.
Have you ever been vomited on?
No.
Would you think if you got vomited on a ride, would you keep it on your clothes as a memento of being at Disney?
No, I wouldn't, Fred.
Would you get mad at the person that puked on you?
I'd understand it if it was the ride. If it was Everest or something like that, I'd be okay with it. But I hated Guardians of the Galaxy.
Why?
Because you're moving, it's dark and the music, and you think it's going to be a great ride, and it's just like
it was a phenomenal ride.
No, it wasn't. I want to go on a coaster where you're going up and down, and the Seven Dwarfs coaster was good. Slinky Dog Dash, that's good.
Are these children's rides that he's talking about?
They're like Disney coasters.
Okay.
They're not like full on like break your neck roller coasters.
All right. So if it's you and your wife, Dan, what's the plan? Like, do you go to the Magic Kingdom?
Oh yeah.
And so what do you go in? It's a Small World?
No, we'll do the Buzz Lightyear ride, which I like. My wife likes playing that game.
The Magic Kingdom is more the kids stuff.
Yes.
Like we didn't spend that much time at the Magic. We got there early. We hit up Space Mountain. We did the new Tron ride, which
how was Tron?
It was awesome.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
That's the one thing I want to do. I want to do that. Have you ever done the Avatar ride? Did you guys do that? At Animal Kingdom?
Funny story about that.
Oh, this is good, Fred. Huh?
They lack some signage on some of these rides, so we went over to the Animal Kingdom specifically to do 3 rides.
Yep.
Everest and one of the Avatar ride. We get over there, we see, it's like a 40-minute wait to get on what we think is the Avatar ride. We hop in line, wait through it. We get about halfway through the line, and my wife starts to realize there's some really young kids in line for this, like really small kid. Like how do they get these little kids on this ride? We were in the wrong line. We ended up on the Navi River cruise.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, but that you get to see. It's like being in Africa, except you're in Orlando.
Except it's not. It's literally, it's like the Avatar, which I don't even know if I've ever seen Avatar.
Yeah.
But you literally cruise around this thing at half a mile an hour for like 3 minutes. There's no point to it. There's no story to it or anything like that. We waited 40 minutes in line for that.
Well, listen, if you're with little kids, you got to do what you got to do. Bill, go ahead.
Hey, guys. Calling you from Disney World right now. I'm down staying here.
Oh, where are you staying?
Did Epcot yesterday, Dan.
Wait, what hotel you at?
Pop Century.
Oh, nice. Good. You having a good time?
Yeah, we take the Skyliner over, and we did Epcot. We did all the lines. We did everything yesterday, and I just want to know what's wrong with you.
You're not enjoying yourself, Bill?
It's a good time with the kids, but yeah, it is. It's crazy down here.
Yeah, you don't see going back.
That's why I
when
got
the kids
out.
Get older.
That's why I got out by Friday.
No. Yeah.
Like we left Friday morning because this week is insane down there. Like we hardly took any ride that we had to wait more than like 10 or 15 minutes for.
Yep.
I wouldn't do it if we had to wait for 2 hours.
And you don't have to go on rides every day, Fred. You can go to the pool. You can just walk around, just relax. Yeah.
The Guardians of the Galaxy is the best ride down here. That was
I
the
know.
redeeming thing from yesterday.
I know, and it's just I can't handle those rides. I understand that. I get it because a lot of people love it, absolutely love it. So I'm with you, Bill.
But Bill, if you were concerned, there is the option to walk. I mean, Dan, that's some insider information from Dan. You don't have to go on the rides. You can always just walk, which is not.
Get your steps in.
Yeah, I didn't know if you knew that was an option, but Dan's put that on the table.
Thank you, Dan.
Yep,
I'll tell the kids that. We'll just walk when we go to the Magic Kingdom tomorrow.
That's awesome.
I appreciate you listening from Disney. I've been in your position before.
It's funny, Fred, that
it's a lot.
I saw a guy out. I was walking in somewhere, and he said, "Hey, I heard you with Fred." And we went to Disney last week, and I'm like, how was it? He goes, well, I had a few gummies, and it was awesome.
No, Jesus.
That's the only thing that would have made that river cruise ride better.
I'm like,
exactly.
Really, dude?
It's like a dead show. You need to be on hallucinogens to get any kind of anything
Great
out
segment,
of it.
Freddie. Thanks.
Listen, Dan, you wanted it and you got it. It's a holiday. It's my gift to you on
Feels
this
good.
President's Day. All right. Who we got coming up right here?
Brian Boucher.
TNT.
Talk about the Cape
From
League.
TNT. Talk about the Cape League. Absolutely.
It's a trifecta for me today.
No, he's going to talk about, of course, Four Nations. We will be doing that in just a moment.
FM at HD Boston. 98.5 The Sports Hub, a Beasley Media Group station.
Sports Hub headlines presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Busy hockey day at TD Garden today. The Four Nations face-off comes to Boston. USA has already qualified for Thursday's championship game. They'll play Sweden tonight at 8. This afternoon, a 1 o'clock face-off as Canada takes on Finland. If either team wins that game in regulation, they too will qualify for the final. If it goes to overtime, that would open the door for Sweden to make it to the championship game with a regulation win tonight. First day of full-team workouts down at Red Sox spring training. Alex Bregman met the media for the first time today. He is working out as a third baseman today. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown's team, Team Shaq, the winners of last night's NBA All-Star Game and a new mini-tournament format. Steph Curry named the event's MVP. Celtics will return from the break on Thursday in Philadelphia. And a report out of Baltimore says 7 more women are now accusing Ravens kicker Justin Tucker of inappropriate behavior during massages. That makes a total of 16 different massage therapists who have come forward with allegations. Tucker denies any wrongdoing. Headlines are brought to you by Eastern Mass's leader in drain cleaning and pipelining, Drains by James. Slow drain, clogged drain? Contact Drains by James today at drainsbyjames.com. I'm Ryan Johnston on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. More headlines in 30 minutes.
New England plays here.
Ball down the right side. It's a separation. Touchdown pass. Yes. Perfect dive from Drake May.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Fred, what's it like to work with Hardy and Wallace?
What a golden ticket I've gotten.
There you have it. Toucher and Hardy resumes on the Sports Hub.
That's his game. I mean, he's thrown some massive hits. Some of the biggest hits I've seen in hockey have been from him. And I don't know if I think it was just the energy of the game. I mean, you know, a playoff game on steroids. I mean, that was a long time coming for USA Canada, you know, playing against each other. So, you know, I think that energy just took over. And yeah, he's capable of, you know, throwing hits like that anytime.
You talking about McAvoy?
Yeah. That's right.
All right, we're Toucher and Hardy, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. The Four Nations tournament is in Boston now. The get-in price is, like, insane. I'm a little surprised, but the ratings for Saturday night were phenomenal as NHL ratings go. It's on TNT. Brian Boucher is an NHL analyst for TNT. He's going to be at ice level for both today's games in the Four Nations face-off. Brian, I'm just warning you, you are in, because this is a holiday, you are on the air with us is the play-by-play voice of the Boston Bruins, Mr. Ryan Johnston. And he needs no introduction but Dan Roche, who's on TV locally. So no pressure. You thought you were just doing some nickel and dime radio show. But there are two captains of Boston. You're with Boston royalty, Brian, so just be on the lookout.
I'm incredibly nervous for this hit, so yeah, good to be with you guys this morning.
Yeah, I don't know what rinky-dink towns you're doing other interviews in, but my friend, this is going to be the big one. All right, I have a simple question. Obviously, this is Boston. We cover the Bruins extensively. It's a team we talk about every day. But I was surprised at the amount of fighting and how quickly it happened in that USA-Canada game. I understand the third fight, even though I don't understand the matchup. But I do understand the third fight. But what, in your opinion, why did that happen? Why right away were people dropping the gloves?
Well, I mean, if you go back to the only thing I can think about is that if you go back to after the first game when the U.S. played Finland, Matthew Tkachuk was asked by a reporter about, you know, being booed in Canada, and I thought his quote was pretty interesting. And I don't have the exact quote, but he said something to the effect that I didn't like it, and that's all I'm going to say about that. And to me, I think he took it personally. Like I don't think anybody's really talking about this, but you know, the political environment that we are in, I think, played a role in some of it. And the Canadians are not happy with United States leadership, and they have been voicing it very loudly at sporting events to American teams when they play the American anthem. And I think Tkachuk took it personally, to be quite honest with you. And I think he wanted to send a message right off the hop to get his team juiced up, and he and his brother certainly did that. And I think looking back on it, you're kind of like, well, you can see how it could take place, but at the time it was mildly surprising, considering that there really was no reason to fight other than if you just wanted to get some anxiety out of you, which he certainly did. And I think it was I thought it was great entertainment, if you ask me. I mean, I thought it was the most exciting hockey game I've watched since the 1996 World Cup, and that's 29 years ago. And I watch hockey and I played hockey, and I can tell you that I don't ever remember a Stanley Cup final being as intense as that game was. It was great drama, and as an American, I was. And as a fan watching, because I wasn't working that game, I was extremely proud of the way that those guys responded in that game.
Okay, just again, I've heard the '96 World Cup referenced. You're not the first person I've heard reference in light of the game last weekend. Can you inform the listeners and myself what happened in that '96 World Cup game that was so memorable?
Well, it was a best-of-3 final, and it took place, my memory is slightly foggy. I think the first game or two might have been in Montreal to start that three-game final, Canada-U.S., and then the last game may have been in Philadelphia. But if you go back and watch that series, I mean, there could have been a penalty called every other shift. And I'm not talking like a tripping penalty. I'm talking about trying to break somebody's arm type of penalty, like slashing. And it was the nastiest hockey you have ever seen. There were fights in that series. I think Keith Tkachuk fought Claude Lemieux in that series. And that took place in September. This is before training camps opened up. I mean, the level of intensity and hatred that was in that series. And I was just a 17, 18-year-old American player that was drafted by Philadelphia. And that win, I got to tell you, I mean, everybody talks about 1980 being an inspiration to American players. That win in '96, them beating Canada in the World Cup, inspired me as a young American to want to play for the United States at the World Juniors. And we ended up playing in the World Juniors, I think, that year in Switzerland, and I think we got a silver medal. It was the best the U.S. had ever done at that time. So, those guys, talking about Keith Tkachuk, Bill Guerin, Tony Amonte, Darian Hatcher, Brett Hall, these guys, they motivated a young group of Americans, and I think that's what got the United States kick-started to get their national program going eventually, and now to what we have today. So, yeah, it was a nasty series. If you go back and watch it, do it. You'd be doing yourself a heck of a favor in watching some unreal hockey.
And Lemieux didn't turtle during the fight. You're saying he fought.
I got to be honest. He stood in there and he stood in there. He did not turtle like that fight against.
I'm from Detroit, so that was that's tattooed to my brain.
But it was almost like his kids did the other night. I mean, it was like 20 seconds into the game in Montreal, he dropped the gloves with Claude Lemieux, and there was, I think, either two simultaneous fights or one right after the other. It was almost carbon copy of what
Dad
started
did
the game
a
the
little
other
talking
night.
to before the game.
I don't think he needs to. I think Matthew and Brady know what their job is.
Yeah, and well, they certainly showed it. One of them certainly showed it while they were playing the Bruins in the playoffs last year. Go ahead, Dave.
Brian, a lot of people watched that game. Obviously, it got everybody talking yesterday over at the availabilities. Both coaches, Cooper and Mike Sullivan, talking about it. The players saying it was the most fun they had. How does that and everything that we saw with it, the Charlie McAvoy hit, how does that unfold today and tonight, and especially Thursday if it is the U.S. and Canada again on Thursday night?
Yeah, I'm interested to see how the U.S. responds after coming off of such a high. I mean, let's be honest. The game to them this evening means absolutely nothing, and we probably won't see Matthew Tkachuk, considering he didn't play much of the third period the other night. Chris Kreider probably will draw in, but how do you respond after an emotional game like that? We'll see if the game means anything for Sweden, as you guys mentioned before we came on, that if there is a regulation win in the afternoon game, then the game essentially means nothing. So for the U.S., they can probably get their sights set on looking ahead to Thursday, but they still got to play a game and stay sharp and whatnot. But I hope it's Canada in the final because the way that game played out in Montreal. I mean, fans deserve another go round of that. But we'll see how it goes between Canada and Finland today. This is a tight turnaround for Canada. You know, they got in at 6 a.m. yesterday due to the weather, and they got to play a 1 o'clock game this afternoon. So fatigue is going to be a factor for them. And, you know, a guy like Sidney Crosby, he's not getting any younger. He looked tired in that game against the United States. And I know he's playing through an injury right now. He didn't play the last several games for Pittsburgh leading up to the tournament. So it'll be interesting to see if Makar comes back in and how it all plays out. But, you know, I'm hoping it's Canada-U.S., but it could be a situation where, man, if that game this afternoon goes to overtime, if Sweden were to beat a team, I'd say maybe an uninspired USA team, that could be the final on Thursday, Sweden-USA. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out here today.
Do you think Swayman plays tonight for the U.S.?
I think it would probably be Jake Ottinger ahead of Swayman. Ottinger was backing up in the two games in Montreal, so just guessing, Ottinger's probably number 2 on the depth chart right now.
Let me ask you from a national perspective about Charlie McAvoy. We played that clip as we were introducing you, talking about his hit against McDavid the other night. There are people around here who look at the big ticket contract that he got a few years ago and say, oh, he's getting paid like one of the top defensemen in the league, but he's not Cale Makar. He's not that type of a player. How do you view him from an outsider's perspective?
I would agree with what you just said. I mean, he's not Cale Makar. He's not Quinn Hughes. He's not an offensive juggernaut like those guys. He does have offense, but the one thing that I think that that Charlie McAvoy has over those other guys is what you saw the other night and that nastiness that you can play with in a playoff series in a situation like that. If you go back and watch Connor McDavid, who was very good in that game, and he turned on the Jets and beat McAvoy, nobody was stopping McDavid on that first play when he got around McAvoy. That wasn't McAvoy's fault. I mean, Werenski could have helped him out a little bit. He didn't. I think Werenski didn't want to take a penalty by reaching in, and that's why he kind of give him a free lane. But nobody was stopping McDavid there. But if you watch the rest of that game, there were 2 hits that McAvoy laid on McDavid. And then after that, McDavid, every time he came down McAvoy's side, what did he do? He dished it. He didn't want to face it. So I'm telling you, when you play that way, it has an effect. It has an effect in game. It has an effect on a player like McDavid. I don't ever remember McDavid getting smoked like that in an NHL game, ever. And it happened twice in that game. Now, if you do that in a playoff series where you get a guy like that early on, and I'll bet you every time he comes down that side, he's got his head up and he's looking to move that puck because he does not want to get what he got from McAvoy in that game. 82 games, you're going to have games where McAvoy probably is not playing to that level of intensity. It's normal. It's impossible to play at that level. But in a playoff series, you get a defenseman like that on your side, it can go a long way to helping your team.
Brian, if they meet again Thursday, what do you think? How does it unfold in your mind?
Well, again, I will be a fan for that one. That'll be an ABC game, so I can sit there as a fan, and I will be cheering for the U.S. I think the U.S. Should feel good about the way that they initiated everything in that game as far as the physical play. I'm a little concerned if Matthew Tkachuk can or can't play. I think this team is totally different if they don't have Matthew Tkachuk in a game like that. No disrespect to Chris Kreider. He's a very nice player, but he certainly does not bring what Matthew Tkachuk brings. And you guys saw it firsthand. You talked about it, what he did in that playoff series against the Bruins. This guy is a special player. He's more than just an agitator, meathead guy that wants to, fight away. He doesn't do it very often, but he's got a tremendous hockey IQ. He can make plays under pressure as well as play that physical game that needs to be played. If he's not in the lineup, it is a concern. But I think in the end, the juice of being on home soil, I would think can propel him. And I listen, I think Canada is a little bit, Crosby's not 100%, and that is a concern for me. And I think their goaltending is a question mark. I thought Binnington in the 2 games that he played, I thought he gave up 2 questionable goals. It's been talked about going into this tournament that their goaltending might be the weakest of all 4 teams. and I think it may hurt them in the final, and the U.S. will be victorious.
All right. Well, Brian, congratulations. These ratings, who knew? I mean, this has captured people's attention. And both games on TNT, you got Canada, Finland, which certainly means something. That's going up at 1 o'clock this afternoon. Sweden against the U.S. at the Garden at 8. Brian Boucher, you'll be between the benches. Thank you so much for taking the time. We appreciate it. And I hope you got over your initial nerves of being on with Dan and Ryan.
It'll take me some time to calm down after this terrific hit, but yeah, it was great to be with you guys. Thanks for having me.
Maybe find someone in the lobby of the hotel to take a couple swings at, get the anxiety out of your system. All right, thank you, Brian. We appreciate it.
There you guys.
All right,
Bye.
there you go, Brian Boucher. Everybody, color me surprised. I mean, people. First of all, good for the United States for fighting like that because it immediately became the number one highlight of the day, regardless of sport. And, I'm very surprised. I mean, I'm interested in it. I'm very surprised. Tickets, $1,000 they're saying on TV is get-in price. That might be for Thursday.
That's for Thursday, yeah.
But tickets are going for like $6,000. It didn't cost us $1,000 to go to Hardy and I to go to the Lions divisional game. I mean, that was the highest divisional game get-in price of all time. They were saying is that Lions divisional game.
What was it?
We got our tickets for around $800 a piece, but then with the fees and taxes, they were $10,000.
All right.
By the way, if you're looking for something to do this afternoon, a get-in price right now is $126 to get in that Canada-Finland game, which, as Connor McDavid said, it's a Game 7. Both of those teams have to win and have to win in regulation to guarantee a trip to the final. Like, that's going to be a hell of a hockey game this afternoon.
And are you going to it?
I am not.
Yeah. I got to sleep, my friend. Listen, are you going to go, Dan? You should. You don't have enough to do. Dan worked until 12:30 in the morning last night. Then he came in. That's why he's a little off his game today. Don't blame it on that. You want
to go?
I got to get a little anxiety out. Sure.
All right.
We can get it out of our system. All right. The award-winning email segment and so much more is on the way, coming right up.
idea for a bit. The email bit. We should do the email bit. It's a great idea. Let's do the email bit.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. We have Ryan Johnston, who, even though he's a big-time play-by-play guy now, is still willing to do the show, which we appreciate very much. And Dan Roche, who is the number one fill-in now. He's taken Ryan's place as the number one fill-in, but he has his own responsibilities. So Andrew Callahan is going to be in one day this week.
You guys are going to give me something to do during the off season. I'm going to be in here every so often.
Oh, that would be great.
My wife's already like, you can't be here for 4 or 5 months. You've got to get out of the house.
Yeah. It's something to do. It's not heavy lifting. You're all right. Okay, this is from a guy named Jim, and it says, "Hey, Fred, I want to test Dan's cred as a supposed lifelong resident of the Merrimack Valley. Ask him what the original name of the Market Baskets supermarkets, if he knows, he knows."
That's Demoulas, right?
Yeah.
Okay, both of you know.
They're going back to that, too.
Why?
Maybe the Demoulas family wanted it, but they're going back to it.
Okay. Jeremy, who's off in emails, he says, someone called in during Shooting the Breeze. They asked why I was so angry. He says, from my perspective, it's that Hardy is intentionally a more abrasive co-host for the show, and it allows for more back and forth in an aggressive way. This doesn't mean you're truly angry, but that both of you find that interaction enjoyable as opposed to maybe in the past.
If I'm doing a harmony, I can't do it bad on purpose.
No, see, one of my favorite things of Hardy is that he busts my balls, and then I can bust his balls. That's, to me, much more enjoyable. I enjoy, and I think good for the radio. Like, someone, cutting me down, I think is good for the
much
radio.
Better radio.
Yes. That you can't, that there's someone, that there's no one you can't make fun of. Yes. Friends, you should be, when you're friendly with people and stuff, you should be able to bust their balls.
It's more authentic.
Yeah. You don't have to be angry about it, though, Fred. That's my only contention.
Yeah, but I can't rid myself of that anger. I was a cesarean who was never breastfed. Think of it as a mental roughhousing where people can't see it in the way you think you two are just fighting and you're being negative angry. No, Hardy and I are not generally angry at each other. I can tell you that right now. By the way, we've been given a heads up that Joe Murray the other night talked to someone about living in New Hampshire for a half an hour.
A half an hour?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Andrew says, I get Dan because of the kids, but unless you're a morning person, why would you have to wake up at 7 to go on a ride so early in the morning? I love Ryan, but why? His wife must really love it. Ryan?
So this is how it works now. Is when they have a very, very popular ride, and it wasn't Star Wars, it was Guardians of the Galaxy was the one that I really wanted to try out, and that she did as well. The only way that you can get yourself on is to join the virtual queue, and they open that at 7 a.m. and it sells out immediately. It doesn't cost you anything extra, but
sure,
you have to log on and click the thing at the right time, and then they give you an approximate time that at some point during the day you have to be in the park and ready to go, because we're going to call your group, and you have like an hour to get in line and get on the ride at that point. Now, the good thing is when you actually get to the ride at that point, there's no line. You just basically walk right in.
Used to be Fast Pass. They used to
so
be,
rather than standing in line for like 3 hours to get on the most popular ride, you get up at 7, you click the thing, then you can go back to bed if you want to, or we just like, okay, day starting, let's go over to the parks and beat the crowds.
Yeah, my experience with that is that they have something where they used to, at least, where your kid can sword fight with or lightsaber fight with Darth Vader, and you have to get there like right away, like right when they open, and then I just felt this intent. It's just so much like being a parent and about with little kids. It's just so ridiculous. You look back and go, why? And I just remember feeling this like incredible pressure to like get him there. And then they picked the kids. He got picked. And then they're like, okay, sit in here. You can't go to the bathroom. Like you
Right.
got to stay in this line. And I remember thinking like, oh God, I hope he doesn't go in the bathroom. And then he goes up there and he does the lightsaber thing. And, they probably have 20 kids do it. He does the lightsaber thing, and then he comes off, and he could have cared less. He didn't even like Star Wars. I look back at it. I have a video of it, and I'm like, this video isn't even – all this video reminds me of is how stupid
Anxiety.
I am.
Yep.
Yeah, of just like you get in that place as a parent of little kids – it's just ridiculous. Like, oh my God, this has to happen. Like, this has to happen. And then you look back and go, like, none of that had to happen. Just like spinning your wheels. We will get to you, Sarah. But first, Fred, I'm writing to voice my displeasure with the caller who said you seem angry and on edge lately. Thank you. I think the new show format has made you much more pleasant and friendly. If anyone is a little on edge and unfriendly today, it's possibly the much overworked Dan Roche. I sure wouldn't want to host a show with him tomorrow after he runs the gauntlet today, and then he wants me to ask you a question about Marv Albert that in this day and age I don't think I can. All right. Do you guys know Sarah from Everett? Do you know her for real?
No.
Do you know
I'm familiar. I know who she is.
the name.
So Sarah from Everett was a big fan of the Midday Show. She probably still is. Big fan of Hardy's. And since Hardy has started on this show, which has been a long time now, but since he's been on this show, Sarah from Everett emails everyone frequently, but all her emails to me are unique in that they're very insulting about everything. And then Sarah is also someone who's seen me walking my dog. She walks dogs in Newton, and she's seen me, and she says I was staring at her lustingly. She sees me drive by in my car. Sarah from Everett. Hi, Sarah from Everett.
Hi, guys.
Congratulations. This is your 129,762nd call to the radio station.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it. That's what it says on the screen.
Hi, Dan Roche, Silver Fox. Amazing. And Ryan Johnston, congratulations.
Thank you,
I love
Sarah.
you calling the Bruins. I'm so glad you didn't take the third chair. So, anyway, I was calling because Fred, my cat, Chief Charlie Blackball's Chien, just turned 20. He loves you, and I was hoping you would wish him a happy birthday.
Well, Sarah, as someone who had a 21-year-old cat who died, and you remember what Zolak did when that cat died, don't you, Sarah?
Yeah. And no pictures needed.
No, he mocked me. He mocked me.
Yeah. That's why I'm calling you, because I know you like pussycats, and I mean, he's Chien, if you know, in Chinese means dog. He doesn't realize he's a cat. I've taught him how to sit, lay down. He does angry tiger. He loves to ride in the car. He walks on a leash. He's a dog.
Are you high right now? Is this one of your gummy days because it's a holiday?
I'm probably still drunk from last night. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Sarah, listen, it's wonderful that it's your cat's birthday. How
Happy
exciting.
birthday, cat.
Sarah, and thank you for not saying anything cruel, which is usually what you do.
Fred?
Yeah.
Did you get my email about Walt Disney World?
Probably. I haven't seen it yet, but I will go through my emails. I get a lot of them.
There's pictures, and do you want me to read you the postcard I got sent?
Sure.
Okay. This is from my friend. I'm not sure about marriage anymore. This place has some of the fattest, not fattest, PH, grossest, rudest, ugliest people that somehow marry each other. Get me out of here.
Well, Sarah, look out because there's a big group of people on the internet that are going to come after you now. All right, Sarah, thank you so much. None of you were around for it except for Nick, and Nick knows what I'm talking about. It was quite a controversy here at the radio station for no reason. All right, very good. Do you have anything or no? I mean,
No.
You guys don't really have emails.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we got. All right, Disney World, I'll give you one more. Someone else is challenging you. This is Andrew, Ryan. What the F? Have to wake up at 7 to go on a ride? I wouldn't do that. Want to do that with the kids. What the F? He doesn't understand it. People are very confused.
You're not
by
out
when you
until
get up.
3 in the morning. You basically at 7 a.m.
Right.
You can set your alarm for 6:55. At 7 a.m., you have to get that pass to get on that
click
ride.
on the button and then go back
you
to
can go to
sleep if you wanna
for
go
another
back to
3
sleep.
hours. Whatever you want to do. It's just the new system that they have.
I'm
in
more
place.
of an early riser.
Yes.
All
Same.
right. All right. Yes, Adam has one.
Yes, I have an email from our guest last Friday, Al Cole, who reached out after he was on the air
Al
with
Cole
us.
is here.
You had alcohol on again?
He said, "Yeah, we did for Valentine's Day. Love advice."
Obviously,
last minute.
He gives out. He wants me to introduce him by giving out his cell phone number.
Yes, which is why he was emailing. So we did. He specifically said, Al Cole from CBS Radio before the segment said, "I would like my telephone number and my email address to be given out."
He'll be cured of that.
When
Really
I sent him the segment to follow up and thank him for coming on with us. He said, I just want to clue you in on the reason why I wanted my phone number and my email address publicized. It's really to promote what I do professionally with music production, video production, and promotional interviews for people who are looking for services in those areas. I wouldn't want people to get the impression that I wanted my business phone and email out there for romance reasons, LOL. So,
well, it's just odd that he wants his cell phone number.
I think he has a few cell phone numbers, Fred. I think he probably has one that's dedicated to this particular endeavor.
Does he have Cameo? Does he do Cameo and all that stuff?
Does he do Cameo?
I don't believe he is on Cameo, but I believe if you were to reach out to him directly and express to him that you wanted a custom video cut, he would do that in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail.
He might not do Cameo, but I believe he's friends with the band Cameo.
Yes.
Based on the way he looks.
You can listen to that segment over on the Toucher and what is it? The Sports Hub YouTube.
Yeah, 98.5 the Sports Hub, the Sports Hub YouTube page.
The first time you had him on, it was great. He was like,
he's an interesting guy. Like he likes to talk, and he talks about romance, and you're sitting here and I'm captivated by him. I don't know how it's translating to the audience, but being able to speak to the man is very interesting. Adam has his theories on him, and I think they're right.
Yes.
Like Al can stay on point. But he is so much of a lover that he just is so comfortable talking about his many sexual partners. It's quite interesting.
And he's authentic about it. It's not a bit. It's like he really believes in this stuff and puts it into practice. And I think that's what comes through to people is they hear this and they're like, well, this is entertaining. It's not like a bit. Like this guy is legit.
All right, and if you didn't hear, if you want to know the thing you guys should go home with is that when you're involved in a threesome a foursome with 3 women, you lay back and allow your feminine side to come out is what his advice was, and let them do the work. Because he said, as men, we're under this impression, Dan, you'll know this, that we're under this impression that we have to be, constantly thrusting and moving and doing things. Al said, just allow yourself to sit back.
Uh-huh.
Is that what you do, Dan? Dan, is that what you do when you have multiple partners at once? Or are you more of a devil's threesome sort of fella?
8 is a very, very seductive number.
Devers and Bregman will take round balls today at third.
You and Frank Kona ever have a devil's threesome?
The penis is guided by the mind.
All right. That's Dan. His theories on it. Scott, go ahead.
Where's Roche?
Right here.
Hey, are you a Disney Vacation member now or Vacation Club member?
No.
Or are you still stupid?
Never wanted to go that way, sir.
Oh, my God. See, my sister's brilliant. She has a binder when we go there for the week. Everything's pre-planned, every meal, what time we depart. Plus, they close the park down early. We have early hours for Vacation Club members.
I like that.
That's the way you got to do it.
Yeah, we just never went that route.
Yeah.
So we had other inroads that way, though. I appreciate the, the
you
call,
should take 3 women with you there for your next foursome.
All right, we got to go.
Get on that, Roach.
Scott, do you believe he's ever had multiple partners at the same time?
Hell no. Hell no.
Not even a devil's threesome, you say?
No, I don't know. You put him in bed with 3 baseball players, you don't know what would happen.
Yeah, I mean, that is true. He is a jock. He is a jock. Right, Dan? There you go.
Al Cole is here.
There you go. Dan, you and Al Cole should do a show together.
Oh, that would be tremendous.
Because you could morally police him as he goes on his things. I wish we didn't have him on last week. It would have been so fun to have him on with Dan.
You beat me to it. I was going to say, I almost want to just pull some of the audio and play it for Dan as a segment on Wednesday. Maybe we do that.
Really, Adam?
Yeah. I think
really,
honestly,
you gonna go there on me?
I'm on Dan.
I thought
honestly,
you were my friend.
This gentleman, his approach to love and love making and romance is it's like nothing you've ever heard before.
All right.
He says that the most important body part of a woman is her mind. That's not. Do you agree with that?
Sure.
What do you like, feet or something? Dan doesn't want to be so controversial as to think a woman's intellect is the most important thing about her. That would be going over the line for Dan. He don't like that. You don't even know what to feign upsetness about now. You're just,
Whoa, Dan.
You're just like, the brain is their most important part.
Try not to be angry.
All right, Jesus Christ.
We'll be right back.
Yeah.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by.
I've had many offers to become an insider.
We know what you're thinking. What could I possibly have missed from the show? It's time for The Stack on Toucher and Hardy.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy, Ryan Johnston and Dan Roche. And today, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Adam, you have something you want to play for Ryan?
Yes. So Ryan, of course, being the play-by-play voice on the radio for the Boston Bruins. We actually played a great clip of him calling an overtime goal earlier. But, Ryan, I wanted to know if this particular person is on your radar. I don't know if you still have a toe in the Middlesex League, high school hockey world.
I think this guy might replace you, Ryan.
But this call from, I believe it was Woburn and Winchester over the weekend is just sensational. Let me see if I can get this play for you. Here we go.
Mack with the save, and they score, God damn it. Sorry about the swear.
I mean, this guy's coming up, so just watch a six.
I'm gonna steal that.
That's
We got
awesome.
a game on Saturday against Anaheim. I'm definitely stealing that
one more time.
Mack with the save, and they score, God damn it.
God damn it.
Sorry about the swear.
Oh, no problem. You're allowed to say it on the radio.
That's right.
It's not one of the 7 dirty words. You're fine. Now that's a high school game?
Think back to how things have changed. That was the whole thing in Major League. You can't say goddamn on the air.
Yeah. I mean, they encourage you not to, but it's not something that you can be fined for. I mean, you go to hell. I mean, there's that, but there's that. So that was it. That doesn't sound like a high school kid.
Oh, it's probably an older gentleman doing the
I'll
games.
reach out to my my contacts over at the Woburn Public Media Center and see if we can get a name.
Yeah. And there's a Woburn Public Media Center?
That's right. Yeah, they're headquartered at Woburn High School, but they do production work, TV production work for the entire city. They stream town meetings and school committee meetings.
Do they have pizza parties that
everything.
you can get some food at?
No, but they're really good to me every year when I need to cut a PSA for the CPAC College and Transition Fair. They let me come up and cut a PSA, and then they put it out for everybody.
You love acronyms without explaining what they are.
Special Education Parent Advisory Council, CPAC.
Yeah, if you want to say something that a cause you believe in, you just give out these acronyms and no one knows what you're talking about.
I thought I'd mentioned that before, but yes.
Well,
you're right.
everyone's going to remember? I thought I've mentioned CPAC before.
Reset, don't forget.
Back in November, didn't I say that?
Yeah, exactly. Like I think I have a record of myself saying that.
Right.
It's really something. All right, so
I'm going to watch NCIS tonight, Fred.
So anyway, the last night, look, there's no denying it. Saturday Night Live is maybe you could make the argument that it's like the most, in terms of entertainment shows, the most important show ever in the history of television.
You could argue that.
Because it's spawned probably more careers of people that went on to be like huge stars than anyone else. But it's funny, if you look at the amount of shows people have done, like the most amount of shows, it's so heavy now on current cast members or people that recently left because there's nothing for them to do now.
Right.
So when you get Saturday Night Live, it used to be you do 5 years, basically, 5 to 8 years. 8 was a lot. But like, remember when it seemed like Tim Meadows was on forever?
Yeah.
He's not even in like the top 10.
Which is wild because he was on forever.
Yeah, well, it seemed like that at the time
Who's the
because
most?
Keenan Thompson by a million. Like
'Cause he's still on.
Yeah, he's got
22
Cal Ripken. Yeah.
22 years.
But you're right, though.
He's Cal Ripken.
You'd
Like,
go,
there's no getting.
Fred, you'd spend a half a decade, you'd make your mark, and then you'd move on to whatever your next thing was.
Well, and because the first cast, obviously, Chevy Chase left after the first season, and really the Belushi and Aykroyd left after the fourth season, and then everyone left. The whole cast left after the fifth season. So that kind of set the precedent.
If I could ask you,
Eddie Murphy left after 3 seasons. Yeah.
Give me your top 5 of all time.
Okay, that's easy. Eddie Murphy, Norm Macdonald, Martin Short, even though it was for 1 year, because he's the best. Martin Short is the funniest guy I think that's ever been on it. Will Ferrell, Eddie Murphy, Martin Short, Norm Macdonald, and I could go Dana Carvey. Maybe I could go with that. I also
Joe
do.
Piscopo.
Yeah, Piscopo was good on Saturday Night Live.
He was all right. Yeah.
He stuck around.
Yep.
They fired everyone else. I could also what's his face? Barry. What? Hader. Hader
Yeah,
was.
Bill He's in my top five.
Bill Hader
Yeah.
could be Carvey or Hader, but a solid top 4. And I hated Will Ferrell when he first started. And Will Ferrell's talked about it. interesting. Now you got me going. All right, two things. Will Ferrell has even talked about it. His first sketch ever, or one of his first sketches ever, was recurring sketches. Certainly was the cheerleader sketch, which I thought was awful, and he kind of thought it was too. He turned down Elf, a second Elf, which pissed off the rest of the cast, and I understand why he turned it down. He don't want to do that again.
No.
Like, Elf is great. It's Christmas, and my kids like it and everything else. But if I'm Will Ferrell, I don't want to do Elf again. I don't want to be, that character sucks.
Because if you do it a second time, now you're known for Elf. That's not one of the things you're known for. That's like the main thing.
Plus, when you're brilliantly funny,
yes,
and you're Elf, that's not brilliantly funny.
I don't know. Santa Claus 2 was good.
I like the Santa Claus movies better than Elf.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the Santa Claus movie. The Christmas Vacation is the ultimate. Yeah. But so what Adam was playing was they did a reunion of bands. They're really doing. I guess they deserve it. There's a bunch of specials on Peacock. The best thing that came out of all this is Questlove made a mix of all the art, like a bunch of the artists that played. Yeah. And the beats match and everything, and it's like video and the beats match.
Like 7 minutes long.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really well done. But I had no interest in it. They did something where like a bunch of bands played, and Nirvana played with Post Malone. And I've never was a big Nirvana fan. I didn't understand why they were the band that got all those accolades, because there were way better bands in the genre. And it's look, man, it's Novoselic and Dave Grohl's choice of what they want to do, but
it's not a good choice.
And I don't know Kurt Cobain. But he didn't seem. His favorite bands were like the Melvins
and like
the Fastbacks. Yeah. Like, I don't know if he would have been a big Post Malone guy.
No, he wouldn't have. He would have made fun of him because the man. I mean, you could like.
But they would know. I mean, but then I feel weird saying that because, like, I never met Kurt Cobain. It was before I got into radio.
Here's my quick hot take before we wrap up. That doesn't happen if Dave Grohl isn't on his Rehab My Image tour right now. It doesn't happen. He turns that down. He says no to it because he doesn't have to say yes to it.
I mean, Dave Grohl's like in the Descendants documentary. He was like in DC hardcore bands. It's kind of weird. He took a big chance joining them. But listen, it's their band. They can do what they want. And Post Malone seems like a very nice fella. But he is realizing that the road of a white rapper is very hard to trudge. And so, like, Kid Rock before him and Machine Gun Kelly, whose publicity team is somehow keeping him in the algorithm, even though he has absolutely no talent and is too skinny, if you ask me. That's my hot take. All right, so I'll have to check out the 50 thing because my son was awake and we were watching. He wanted to watch the basketball, and so I needed to for the show because we really got into it today. Ryan, thank you. Are you back at all this week?
I am back tomorrow.
Okay, and Dan, when are you back?
Wednesday.
Who's in tomorrow?
Wallach's back tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Oh, he's co-host?
That's right.
All right, Ryan, be ready to carry the ball a little bit tomorrow. Let's be honest. Wallach's third mic, come on. All right, no, I'm kidding, John, because I know you're in town doing nothing. All right, that'll do it for us, but you decided to not work the vacation.